jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel, and the Joker got away. Crashing through the roof in a one-horse open tree, busting out I go, laughing all the way.
It's the Freakacast, talking video games and Lego. It's the Freakacast, cartoons and superheroes. Then through the idea man, and Matt the Builder, gonna make a show that's killer. Freaks in, freaks out.
Ho, 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 and merry whatever.
Yeah, and yay, happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everybody. My name is Andrew Felson,
And I'm Matthew Puetz.
and this is the holiday edition.
Yep, not the holiday special, thank God. It's the holiday edition.
It's the Blue Plate special of podcasts.
Not the Blu-ray special, the Blue Plate special.
Exactly.
Because we like to eat on our holidays.
Indeed. Because who doesn't? I mean, that's a good time to eat.
That's what holidays are for.
That's like when the best food comes out, really.
It is, because I don't know about your mom, but my mom really doesn't like to cook a lot. So when she cooks on the holidays, she makes an enormous amount of food. And it's good food.
Yep. So, as you may have noticed, we are going to be talking about the holidays today.
Yep. We've got something special in store for you guys tonight.
Just want to remind everyone, real quick plugs, because we want to get right to the show.
Yeah.
Find us on afelson1.wordpress.com. That is afelson.wordpress.com.
Yep.
And you'll find all the older episodes there, because for whatever reason, iTunes decides to keep only the new ones.
Probably consolidating their
Probably
space.
consolidating this thing. Also, though, something brand new, we are on Stitcher,
Woohoo!
which is a podcast audio app for your phones or your computers, mobile devices. So it works kind of like iTunes, where you can subscribe to it, and it also, I think, only keeps I think the last one we did was the Ninja Turtle one, so that's
Yeah.
the one it has up right now. So once this uploads, it'll be there.
It makes sense for us to be on a place called Stitcher, since one of us actually sews.
It's true. And the nice thing about that is it's a kind of a hub for podcasts. So, and hey, it's free. Another free.
Yeah.
It's a free app. So
Free
you can
stuff is
download it.
good.
And like all of our stuff that we're putting out, it's free. Also, make sure to look us up on Facebook. We no longer have Freakazoid as our mascot anymore.
We actually have our own logo now, called, it's just the Freakacast.
Yep, but it is Freak Out Entertainment,
Yes.
where we do post updates on stuff. We post videos and articles that we find amusing. So definitely check that out.
And we certainly also post stuff that's related to a current episode that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's any kind of videos or images or stuff that we find, inspires us for that certain episode, we'll definitely post that concurrent with the episode's release.
Indeed. And again, free.
Yes, free. Notice the free. Now, unfortunately, there's no free food, but it's the internet. If technology was a way so we could get people free food, we would totally do that.
If it was like in that
Because
scene
nothing rallies people together more than free food.
If it was like that scene in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where they sent the chocolate bar through the TV, except doing it
Yes.
through the internet,
Yes,
that'd be awesome.
that would be awesome. Of course, would all be fat, but it would be awesome.
Well, we're already halfway there.
I know, it's true. That is very true.
I mean, you can already order food from Amazon and stuff, so why not?
Wow. Why? That baffles me. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's not like it's going to show up hot and fresh, but it's like you can order stuff.
Still, I'd be a little leery of ordering food online.
People do it. And also, songstowearpants2.com.
Yes. Pink, fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
And speaking of holidays, he did last year a drum and bass cover of The Little Drummer Boy.
Oh,
So
nice.
I may
We'll have to
in
post
fact
that.
attach that
Yeah, we
to
may
this
have
one.
to do that.
And it's actually really, really good.
That's a classic song, so I could see him doing a pretty good version of that.
It is pretty good. Anyway, so
One quick thing, it's completely unrelated to holidays, except the fact that, I don't know, maybe the trailer might be out by this point. or at least coming soon, The Dark Knight Rises. We should be having a trailer most likely attached to Sherlock Holmes. So if you go see that movie, I have no doubt that the trailer will be attached to that. It's not confirmed. I'm just speculating. But they will also have the first 6 minutes of the film, the prologue for The Dark Knight Rises, attached to the IMAX showing of Mission Impossible 4. So
I take it you're going to be going to that.
what on earth would give you that idea?
Oh, I don't know. Also, they did show the first good, front picture of Bane.
Yeah. That was on the cover of Empire Magazine, and I've already gone ahead and posted that on the Freakout Entertainment.
And
So.
he does have his head bowed,
Yes.
so you can't quite see everything,
But
and he's
he's
kind of
gonna-
shadowed up. But you can see. Oh, he's kind of a big looking guy.
Yeah. And it's definitely a different interpretation, even from the comics. But it's still clearly Bane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with it being kind of realistic and all, this series,
Yeah.
I don't think they would have gone with wow, he's as big as a house kind of thing.
And that's the thing is a lot of people were saying, oh, he's not big. And it's like, yeah, you can't make that a person that big unless you went the Hulk route and did CGI. And we don't want that from this series. We want it somewhat realistic.
I mean, there are big, huge, muscular dudes, but unfortunately most of them are professional athletes and not actors.
Yeah, and they tried that the last time, and look how good that turned out.
Well, in that particular person's defense, it's not like they gave him a whole lot to do.
I'm not saying that was the case. I'm saying in terms of the character.
I mean, he looked okay. That's best we can say for the movie. Why are we talking about this again? We're talking about holidays.
Anyway,
I mean, granted,
well,
in that movie,
I'm glad you brought that up. Well, first of all, we let off with one of my favorite episodes.
It's true.
Of the Batman animated series, Christmas with the Joker.
We can't get away from Batman.
No, and you know why? It's because it's part of me, it's part of who I am, and it's also part of my holidays. I mean, I have a Batman Christmas ornament, so it makes sense.
But in that
Batman
movie,
Returns, it takes place during Christmas.
And then at one point they had he's Mr. White Christmas, he's Mr. Snow, da-da-da-da.
Yeah, so, there's nothing wrong with having Batman at Christmas. In fact, I just recently read a Batman comic called Batman Noel, which basically is a kind of a Charles Dickens, like if they took A Christmas Carol but made it Batman-centric, but not, I mean, it's not so overly, in fact, you don't realize what the parallels are until the very end, which is pretty neat.
Is it anything like the one where they did for Halloween?
No.
Because that was kind of basically the Christmas Carol, but Halloween.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. This one was much more subtle, and they actually did. The writing was done very well, and it was just. I mean, it's a self-contained graphic novel done by a guy named Lee Bermejo, sorry, and it's the art is done really well. I was surprised when I first glanced because they do actually show a couple pages in some of the New 52. I was like, well, I don't know about this, but when I actually sat down and read it, I was like, this is actually really good. It's like, I'm going to have to buy this at some point. So, Batman and Christmas, oddly enough, go very well together. So, go figure, right?
I guess.
But anyway, before Christmas, in fact, before December, there's this other holiday between Halloween and Christmas.
All right, folks, buckle down. Matt's going to rant.
I don't know about you guys, but I get really freaking tired of having to go into a store before Thanksgiving and hear Christmas music.
Before Halloween, even.
Yeah, well, that was the frustrating part. I went in to Joann Fabrics. It was the week before Halloween. There were a couple last minute things I had to pick up to make some adjustments to my costume. But also, I was gonna say, hey, it's the last week before Halloween. Maybe they'll have some good deals on Halloween decorations for the apartment. They had nothing. Now, thankfully, it wasn't because they got rid of it, because they sold it. Well, that's good for them. But what did they have in its place? Not fall stuff, not Thanksgiving stuff, Christmas stuff. Why? Why do you have freaking Christmas stuff up before Halloween? It makes me want to rip it down and say, no, there's a turkey day here.
We have a whole month to get through.
Yes, don't force it down my throat. I mean, it gets to the point where it's like, Thanksgiving will come and be like, you know what, I'm sick of Christmas already. Last year was the first year I thought, I'm just going to tell my entire family and friends, I'm not celebrating Christmas this year. Why? Because I'm sick of it already.
It's already started. I mean, we've got Christmas music blaring at work, and I was like, oh, great. I've heard this song 3 times already.
And you know,
why am I already tired of this?
yeah!
When
I first got to the store, I was like, hey, this is different music. They're actually playing a couple Bare Naked Ladies songs. Holy cow, this is actually good music. Now, it's all Christmas music. Where in my other store, they played one Christmas song, maybe 2 an hour.
No, it's all Christmas music.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, their list of Christmas music is a lot shorter than their list of crummy music.
Everything else.
So you end up hearing the same song multiple times.
Which is a good thing I sing at work, because I get really tired of stuff.
And it's unfortunate. You're like, okay, some of these are okay, but some of them are really, like, I can't understand how they were good the first time they played it.
Yeah.
Because some are so repetitive.
Yeah, they're repetitive, and it's not necessarily the song's fault. Sometimes it's the singer's fault or the direction the singer takes. That's why I have certain Christmas songs that I like to listen to. But we're not talking about Christmas.
No.
We're talking about Thanksgiving.
We're not talking about Thanksgiving.
And what I like about Thanksgiving...
Other than the food.
There is no other than the food. It's a holiday based around food. Think about it. What is the purpose of a holiday? Just sit and have a large meal. That's all that his purpose is. Sure, let's go ahead and claim, this represents the first time the Pilgrims... No. It's, hey, we want an excuse to eat a really large meal and to take a day off of work. That's what Thanksgiving is.
And
I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Maybe throw in seeing family.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Everyone, let's just get together to see family we haven't seen in a while. But we're going to make it a national holiday. We're going to take the day off of work, and we're just going to enjoy ourselves.
Well, really, at this point, it's no longer. I mean, it's rooted in. We're celebrating our nation's roots of being founded. People were like, it's just a day to have a big feast and get together.
Yeah.
We don't really care about the other.
Yeah.
And we do. We don't.
Now, to be fair, I have considered bringing back a tradition I used to do when I was a kid.
Oh.
Well, as you know, I like to dress up.
Yes.
Okay. When I was a kid, I would usually dress up as an Indian for Thanksgiving. I would make myself a headband. Not necessarily, I didn't have face paint, so I couldn't do that. But when I was a freshman in high school, I made an Indian costume for Halloween, and I ended up wearing it that year for Thanksgiving. And it's like, I still have it. And surprisingly enough, it still fits. Why? Because I made an elastic waistband in the pants.
Aha.
But I thought about bringing that actually to my parents this year and be like, okay, this is what I'm wearing. Just show up to dinner, Mom. I could see my mom being like, what are you doing in that? It's like, it's Thanksgiving.
I'm sure they'd be like, oh, face palm.
No, actually they wouldn't. That's the funny thing. My dad and my brother would be like, this makes sense for you. My mom would be the one like, why? My grandmother would have been like, right on. I think everyone should probably be wearing this.
She'd be like, where's the pilgrim? If we have a Native American, we should have a pilgrim.
I'm kind of hoping Julie will do that next year. Anyway, that's one of the things is, even when I was a kid, I at least said, hey, let's another day to dress up. I mean, why not, really? I mean, the Indian costume is just a shirt and pants.
Yeah.
It just happens, to have a certain look. Why not? And plus, if it gets dirty, just throw it in the wash. You don't... I don't know all these people that dress up in nice clothes. Like, no. You need to have when you go to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner, you should have an elastic waistband on your pants. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. In fact, that actually reminds me of, just because we were recently watching it, there was an episode of Friends where Monica's she's the chef in the show. And so she and her brother Ross, they would always, have big Thanksgiving dinner. And so she would cook the turkey and do everything. And Joey, being Joey and the eater that he is, decided that he was going to make it a challenge to eat an entire turkey by himself.
That probably didn't go well.
Well, he was basically sitting at the table the entire day working on the turkey. But the funny thing is that one of the other characters, Phoebe at the time, was pregnant. Mm-hmm. She was pregnant prior to this episode, had the baby and everything, so she had these maternity pants laying around. And so Joey's like, I can't find any pants that are big enough. And Phoebe's like, well, I've got some maternity pants. All right, I'll try that. And so he started wearing the maternity pants. He's like, these are my pants now. These are my Thanksgiving pants. And the funny thing is, a couple of years ago, me and my brother were watching this. We're like, we are so going to do that. We're going to go to the store and just buy some maternity pants just so we can have Thanksgiving pants. So at least this past year, we both decided, hey, we're going to make sure we wear elastic waistband pants. Because that's necessary.
Have you ever eaten so much you were sick afterwards on Thanksgiving?
Not on Thanksgiving. And I've never done that on Thanksgiving, mostly because I know my limits.
I haven't either, now that I think about it.
You know? And with Thanksgiving, there's really only... The thing is, my main thing on Thanksgiving is a turkey leg. Obviously, it's kind of taken away from the specialness of it with when you can go to the Renaissance Festival and get a turkey leg and that sort of thing. You can get it more often.
That's still once a year.
It is, but there used to be, before I got into the Renaissance Festival and other fairs where you can get the turkey legs, Thanksgiving was the only time I got to have a turkey leg.
Well, for me, that's still only once a year kind of for turkey legs. Is for whatever reason, these past couple years, the turkey leg gets all cut up before I can even get to it.
See, that's a no-no. You don't cut up the turkey leg. The legs are meant to be eaten like a man. That you're just holding it in one hand and gnawing on it on the rest. That's how a turkey leg is meant to be. None of this cutting up crap.
So for me, getting at the Renaissance Festival once a year is still a treat.
Well, that's good. It's actually made me really miss smoked turkeys because we used to, when I was growing up, we used to make smoked turkeys a lot. And then for whatever reason, my dad decided to fry a turkey. My mom got burnt in the process.
As a lot of people seem to. While
Yeah.
also setting their houses on fire.
Well, this was one of those things. Now, this is an interesting story that's worth telling. So, the first time my dad he has never fried anything in a deep fryer before, other than, a frying pan and maybe, a quarter to a half an inch of oil. Mm-hmm. Certainly not the kind of big vat fryers we're used to at work.
Right.
Well, the turkey fryer is fairly similar. It's a good, probably 3 or 4 gallons of grease.
Yep.
Boiling at about 350 degrees. Definitely hot enough to burn your face off.
Yeah, and a lot of people make the mistake of putting in a frozen turkey, which is usually what happens when they blow them up.
Well, thankfully, my dad did not do that. No, instead, he decides that...
By the way, PSA moment right here. Don't do that. You'll set your house on fire. And your face on fire. Do you want to keep your face? Don't put a frozen turkey in a boiling vat of oil.
Although, if you don't want to keep your face, that's a quick way to get plastic surgery. Not that I'm advocating plastic surgery. But who's going to know it was an accident?
It's not going to be like that movie Face Off. It's not going to work.
No. In fact, that was still creepy, but even still. It's definitely not going to be like that. So Thanksgiving that year, for some reason, it was a rainy day. Mm-hmm. Did that stop my dad?
Of course not.
No, sir. My dad was like, I'm going to fry this turkey. So I'm just going to get an umbrella and sit outside in a lawn chair with an umbrella, holding it over the turkey fryer. And this is on the paved part of the driveway. So my mom goes out there to help him, and this is, I can't remember if they were taking the turkey out. I believe it was taking the turkey out. So my mom was holding the thing so that my dad could take the turkey out. My dad is not a graceful person. You think I'm clumsy. He makes me look like a ballerina. So, of course, grease gets sloshed around. Mom gets her arms burned. Now, not horrible. Not to the point of she has to go to the hospital or anything. But burned enough to piss her off.
And you don't want to have a pissed off mom on Thanksgiving.
No. In fact, that's the last thing you want.
Exactly.
So, thankfully, everything worked out okay. Mom was fine. She wasn't horribly mad at Dad after all. But Mom still likes to bring it up just to give him guilt trips, because that's one of the things my mom's really good at, is giving people guilt trips. So
I hope she's not listening right now.
She doesn't even know about this.
Aww.
She should, but she doesn't. I wish she did. But anyway, no, thankfully, it's one of those things where it started off rough. Obviously, suffice this to say, not that the turkey was bad, but I found I'm really not a fan of fried turkey. It's a little dry for me, even though it's weird. You think smoked and fried, they both kind of have a dryness, but the smoked can have a flavor to it, and I think that's what I miss is, because for whatever reason, after we did the frying turkey, then we just started roasting the turkey in the oven. And I think also when we moved, the smoker was kind of old at the time. They didn't feel like getting a new one, so they just chunked it and never got a new one since. And I miss this good smoked turkey. Even though my mom does make a really good roasted turkey, she made a really good smoked turkey too.
Where
am I at?
I've had smoked turkey before, and I've had the fried turkey, and we also attempted frying a turkey, but thankfully it went okay.
No one got burned?
No one got burned, and we didn't blow anything up. It
How was the turkey?
was good.
Do you like fried turkey?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I like turkey in general.
Okay, so it doesn't matter how it's cooked. You'll eat it.
Yeah, I mean, the way my mom makes it, I'm sure other people have the same thing. I don't know how your mom would do it, but with the way they do it is they get those big bags that you can stick in the oven with it.
Yeah, I've seen how she does it.
And I think she also, because like one of the things you always gripe about, like for chicken, is like the breast meat gets too dry for you. So you like dark meat. What she does is she ends up turning it upside down, so it's sitting. It's gonna sound dirty, but sitting breast down instead of
sound dirty.
Well,
Apparently, you have a dirty mind, sir.
apparently my mind's in the gutter today. So it's like the flat part's up, so that way when it's cooking,
And that way, all the juices go to the breast
so
meat.
yes, so the way she does it when you actually when it cooks in its own juice and all that. So when it's all done,
I've never thought of putting the turkey upside down. We probably should have done that this year because my mom got the biggest turkey she's ever gotten.
yeah, so did we.
I mean, well, you had more people, which
We
I can
did.
understand. See, we usually just have the four of us because my dad's family's in Chicago.
Yeah, but
my
you have a
mom's-
whole family of eaters.
I know. I want to explain that. That takes a little bit. You understand that, but our listeners don't.
I know.
So you have to understand, while there is just the four of us, me, my brother, my mom, and my dad, you have to understand, my dad is about 6'4" and used to be a linebacker for the NFL. The man can eat. Although he doesn't eat as much as he used to, he still can eat.
Yes.
My brother's the same size. Wasn't a linebacker, but he played basketball through middle school and high school.
The man can eat.
The man can eat. Basically, mom's viewpoint on Thanksgiving, and to some extent Christmas, but always for Thanksgiving is, if I'm going to spend all day cooking, I'm not going to cook for a week. We're going to have leftovers to last us. What's the first thing that we run out of? Turkey.
Of course. Because afterwards you make turkey sandwiches.
Yes. Well,
Sometimes if you get creative, you can make turkey salad with it.
Well, we don't usually do that. Usually what Mom will do is she'll have the turkey the first day. And the next day, obviously, we'll make turkey sandwiches. But then she'll cut a lot of the breast meat off and kind of simmer that with the gravy. And so it kind of soaks in and gets all juicy and stuff. And then we'll just, fill up your plate with whatever size you want, microwave it, and then put some turkey and gravy on your plate. And that goes pretty fast. And the little bit of turkey I brought with us or home, even after that, which was only like, I think, a thigh or two, there was still like barely any turkey left.
I can believe it.
And this is how, the second day, the first day after was like, wow. And this was between a 25 and 30 pound turkey. And granted we had my grandmother there, but she doesn't eat a lot. So you really can't even account for her.
Yeah, I guess so.
But, I forgot where you were going with that.
I was just commenting on how my mom cooks it.
But so for instance, this year, it would have actually, if I had thought to say, hey Mom, let's turn it upside down, for two reasons. One, that way the breast meat got juicier, but also the legs decided to spread eagle as it was cooking.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, see, my mom has a special roasting pan that's got a top and a bottom, so she can keep all the juices in. But the bird was too big for the pan, so she couldn't put the lid on. So she was constantly basting it, and for some reason, it took less time than it was supposed to cook. Like, it was supposed to cook for like 4 or 5 hours. It took like 2 or 3. We're like, wait a minute, holy crap.
I would be a little worried about that.
It was fine. It was actually really good.
Okay.
That was the weird part. But, I mean, it was getting brown, and the legs were spreading. I mean, they were spreading open wider than you were think. But I was also thinking, if you turn the bird upside down, the legs won't do that. And so they'll kind of lock in some juices there. So it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, so we typically have a pretty moist bird when we eat it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, that's one of the things where, like, when I've had it differently, you kind of taste the difference. But, I mean, I like the flavors of it. So it's interesting to taste it.
Taste different flavors.
Yeah.
That's good. Has your mom ever done interesting things like based turkey and wine?
No.
Oh. My mom did that one year. That was really good. That was the first year she decided to have a wine and mushroom themed dinner. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Now, granted, I like mushrooms, so you kind of have to go in. But the way that the wine was kind of worked in, it wasn't like everything had wine in it. It was kind of like I think she mixed the butter with the wine when she basted the turkey, so you had the flavor of the wine, but obviously not the alcoholic effect or anything.
Right.
It cooks off. She also has a Jello she makes called Mogan David. It's made with Mogan David wine. I don't know if you've had it before, but I think she brought it last year for dinner. That's potent stuff. It's not to the point of it make you drunk or anything, but you can really taste the wine in it. And it's like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And it's made with cherries and stuff. That's really good. And then she made a mushroom stuffing that was pretty good. She didn't do that this year. This year was a rather interesting year. My grandmother started taking over dinner. Mom was not happy with that because she's like, this is my kitchen, my house. Can you get out of here and let me do my job? And I was just kind of like, Mom, I love you. I'm glad you eat whatever I make. Yeah, it's kind of how the usual Thanksgiving. There's really only two that I can think of note. So I guess we'll go ahead and start off with the worst.
Okay. Worst is the first.
Worst is the first. And this is kind of going back to my little upset moment earlier with the turkey leg. Because there was one year where my parent, and I had gotten accustomed to having Thanksgiving with the family. You have it at home. We just, for some reason, we always had it at home. You know, even if other family was there, they were at our house. We never went anywhere. Mm-hmm. Well, my parents decided we had some. My parents had some friends. They had 3 girls, about my age. I think they were a year or two younger, and we had known them fairly well over the ages. You know, we'd go over to the house because they had a pool or like they lived near a lake.
Okay.
And so we'd go over to their house in the summer and like swim in the lake and stuff. And we knew them fairly well. And we went over to their house one year for Thanksgiving. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be kind of weird. Mom not cooking. But okay, whatever. Well, it's Thanksgiving. I want a turkey leg. And so I get there, and not only was there no turkey leg, they had already preemptively cut off the meat. And I'm like, why? Why did you defame the turkey leg like that? You do not do that. So I was incredibly upset. Not only that, they claimed that their cranberry sauce was real stuff. It was clearly out of a can. It was still in the form of the can when it was on the plate. Don't try to pass that cheap crap off onto me. At least be honest and say, well, this is out of a can. Because my mom makes cranberry sauce from scratch.
Yeah.
You know, she makes it with that real cranberries and everything. You know, she doesn't, mostly because my dad grew up eating a lot of canned foods and just got sick of it. So he doesn't like a lot of mushy stuff because canned foods is real mushy, so he likes, like vegetables, he likes them just warm enough to be warm. Like, don't cook them, just get them warm. And the same with cranberry sauce. He likes it when Mom makes it for real. Not just because it's not out of a can, but also because it's a little more tart, and my dad's like sour stuff. And she makes it really good, too. So, in fact, this year she made it a little sweeter, or she did something different, but it was still really good. But that was the only thing, is like, and not only that, but I was still at that age where there was a kid's table and an adult table, and I wasn't quite old enough to be at the adult table.
Gotcha.
And that wouldn't have been such a problem, except they were in separate rooms.
Aww.
So I was like in one room with just me and my brother and these other people, you know, the girls, but I didn't really know them that well. I'm sitting here thinking, I was just so upset about the fact that I didn't get a turkey leg. I didn't care about anything else. You know, if I had been a 5-year-old, I would have cried and thrown a temper tantrum. But I was probably about 12 or 13 at the time, so it's not like you can do much.
Yeah.
You know. But the other one was the best. And that would be, I don't remember, it wasn't last year. I think it was probably the year before, maybe even the year before that. But one thing about Thanksgiving, I don't particularly take part in, but it is a tradition among, I guess, your average guy to watch football on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not opposed to playing football with my friends.
Yeah.
Or with my family. In fact, I'd much rather play sports than watch sports. I find that much more exciting and engaging. So one of my favorite Thanksgivings, and it's a shame, it was one of those things like afterwards I'm like, man, I wish we could do this every year. Because we went up to Chicago, and it was the first time we've ever gone to Chicago for Thanksgiving in my life. So that was a treat. And we stayed at my grandparents' house, and my dad's family was all there, and even his the other side of the family, because my grandfather got remarried in the early 90s after my grandmother had died.
Yeah. It
was about a year or two later. And I just, I knew that I had Nana, my original grandma, and then we had Grandma, married in. And it feels weird calling her my dad's stepmom, because, like, well, you're not really, he was already a grown man with a family by that point. It feels weird. It was like, that's my grandmother. For all intents and purposes, she's my grandmother. That works for me. But she has 2 daughters and their families, and they were all there. And it was just really neat having a big family get together for Thanksgiving. And we went in the cul-de-sac of his neighborhood and played football, just with my cousins and my uncle and everybody. And my dad was there and my brother and Papa was the ref, which was nice. You know, he's got a little older man. He's had a stroke. He's had a quadruple bypass. Yeah, and he's still in really good shape, actually. The funny thing about that man was about a month after he had his quadruple bypass, he got a job as a security guard in a mall.
Wow.
Yeah. That's because he's a Puetz. We do crazy stuff like that.
Apparently. Apparently crazy runs in the family.
It does, in many ways. Well, you've met my brother.
I know. I've met a couple of your family.
Yeah. Well, that was one of those things. It's like, and I did get my turkey leg that year.
Yay.
There was no question about whether or not there was a turkey leg. Might have been. Yeah, I think that was probably the best roast turkey leg I've ever had. It had a really good flavor, and a little juicy too. So. But to me, that was one of those things. Like just the fact that I don't even remember how the game went or anything. But it was the fact that we're out here playing football. You know, playing a game as a family, just having fun. That to me is one of those traditions about those types of things that really make it worthwhile. That would definitely have to be ranked as the best one so far. Hopefully there will come a day where I have a better one.
I'm sure there will.
But for right now.
And hopefully, knock on fake wood, that you not getting a turkey leg is the only thing that's going to be considered the worst.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true.
Because all things considered, Matt, that's fairly minor in terms of a worst holiday ever.
Well, I guess I would have to say that I'm thankful that I have a family who's not crazy enough to where you have a lot of drama.
Yeah.
Like some people we know.
Like some people we know.
So anyway, what was your top? I don't want to say top 2, but your main 2 that you remember, best and worst.
I would say it's kind of tough to pick like one best because it's like
okay.
For the most part, most of my Thanksgivings have been pretty good. For the most part,
there's got to be one that sticks out in your mind.
I'm trying to think. For the most part, we like you, we would have it at my house, and a lot of times we would have my uncle, his wife, and my 2 cousins come over for Thanksgiving. Sometimes we'll have different people. Like we would have sometimes neighbors come over. So like Mike and his family would join us.
Well, he's like your unofficial brother anyway, so that makes sense.
It's true. Or other people that we knew would come over. And that would be, there were a couple occasions where we would go to my uncle's house for Thanksgiving, which is always interesting.
How so?
My uncle's an interesting guy.
Okay.
If you think I'm picky, he's worse.
Oh, wow.
To the point, even though I'm like, wow, really? He won't eat that? I even eat that.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I think I would have just stayed home at that point.
I mean, thankfully he'll eat, turkey and stuff, but there are other things like he won't touch. Like he hates peas. You don't like peas either, but
I'm okay with peas.
But there's just other things where you're like, really? How do you live?
Certain foods I would prefer to be in something just because of the flavor. For instance, peas to me don't have much of a flavor by themselves. So I'd rather be mixed in with something that's gives it more flavor. Or if you can do something to it that gives it more flavor. So
I would say the only time it's kind of weird is like when he's there because you always have to be more mindful of the menu.
See, that it's interesting because you talk about that with your family. I'm thinking he wouldn't survive at my house.
Yeah, I'm sure.
My mom has a mentality, if you don't like it, you don't have to eat. I'm cooking what I want because it's my house.
I would also say it's not so much a worst. It's also not a best, but it's like an interesting point was like sometime in, I think it was either 2001 or 2002.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I was DJing at the time. Mm-hmm. And the thing about DJing at that point was, I'm sure they had automation in high-end stations, but because I was doing high school radio, which I think is the only high school in the country that does it.
Yeah, probably.
So we had no automation at the time. Right. They do now, but they didn't then. So even during holidays, you would have to have students come in, volunteer, and do shifts. And I happened to have a shift on a Thanksgiving. I mean, you earned community service hours. And that was a requirement for us to graduate, so there was incentive to do it. Plus, it was fun.
Right. Well, I was going to say, at least they gave you that They gave you community service hours. The only thing I'm thinking of with us is like, at least in Georgia, is the buildings are actually closed.
So I had to be let in. It wasn't like I had a key. I had to be let in. Like security. Like the thing is, like security that was at the school knew about the radio station, and there would always be someone to let you in because there had to be someone there to monitor it.
Right.
Because it was a 24/7 live station. The way it worked is from 7 in the morning to 7 p.m. we had it at our school, and then another school took it over.
Okay.
Took over the airwave. So it was still a student-run airwave the entire time.
Right.
So I think I had to do like a 5 to 7, I think, shift, which wasn't bad. But the only problem was I had to miss the official dinner.
Yeah.
Because family had come over and like, well, we can't totally wait for you. You can come and eat while we are done.
You're like, well,
because like by the time I get home, I wasn't far away from the school, but it would be after 7 o'clock.
Sure.
And I don't know how it is in your house, but Thanksgiving dinner is usually done a little earlier than normal dinner.
Well, how early is your normal dinner? I guess that's the question.
I guess a normal dinner typically maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
But Thanksgiving is usually like maybe 3 or 4.
Oh, see, we usually eat even earlier than that. We usually eat about 2.
I'm just kind of giving a ballpark.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm saying.
So I mean, there was going to be no way I was going to eat a feast before I went and DJ'd because it was, for one, turkey makes you sleepy, and a big meal like that would make you sleepy anyway. So falling asleep while I'm DJing, bad idea. Two,
very true.
Granted I could leave and go to the bathroom, but if I was feeling not well afterwards, or if we just had too much, I still needed to be there to DJ, and I can't rely. And again, this is no automation. This is old school DJing where you have to switch a CD. Get to the track, switch CDs, get to the track.
Oh, wow.
So you had to be there. You can't just put a computer on and let it run it for you. This was old school style switchboard stuff.
Yeah.
So you had to be there. So I would say that, it was, like I said, it wasn't bad. And the only problem with that is
you made the best of it, but at the same time, you would have rather have been home.
I would have rather been home. And unfortunately, at that point, I was the only one in the station because a lot of times you would have 2 people there.
Yeah.
So, like a main DJ and a co-host or whatever, but that was the time where you're just alone.
Yeah.
So that was kind of not fun, but still, I enjoyed DJing, so it was something I could do. Plus, I could be like, hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and hi, Mom. I know you're listening.
Yeah, because your mom actually listens to your stuff.
Yeah, for the most part. So I would say that was, again, I don't want to put that on worst. It was just different.
Well.
Because there were also times, like, I would say probably the worst was when I was working at Denny's.
No.
And, they don't close.
Yeah.
And I had to work on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, all day. And by the time I got home, I was like, yeah, I'm not in the mood to have dinner, so I'm going to bed. I would say that's probably the worst.
Yeah. Having to work on Thanksgiving is definitely the worst. Especially at a place like Denny's where you're around food. It's like, I'm so happy that your family gets to enjoy Thanksgiving while I'm stuck here working.
It's like, don't you people have homes?
Don't you know how to cook?
That's the always,
I'm glad it was you instead of me. I would start handing them a cookbook, saying, here, go do it yourself.
That was people were eating turkey and cranberry that day.
Instead of you.
Yeah.
Not that to mean they were eating that instead of eating you, but they were eating that instead of you eating it.
That's right. It's like, please don't eat me. Zombies. I don't have brains, but I have turkey. It's dead. You like that, right? You like dead things? Right? Maybe? Please don't eat me. I'll make you waffles.
Do you think zombies would go after other animals' brains as well?
Once they run out of humans.
But why did they go for human brains first?
Because we're easier targets.
Okay. I'm thinking, a cow's a fairly easy target as well.
I'm sure they would go after a cow, but it's like, a lot of zombie movies take place in cities. How many cows are in a city?
That's true.
And dogs and cats are fast. Zombies aren't, usually. I say usually, but there have been some fast zombies.
Yeah. So,
plus, zombies aren't typically very smart, so they go after bigger targets. So, you see a person.
It's more of an instinctual thing.
I think so.
Okay.
They have played with some of it, because I think in one of the, Dawn of the Dead it was.
Yeah.
They didn't go after a dog, so they were able to use a dog to go back and forth between 2 locations, although it didn't quite work in the movie.
Okay.
Because, I'm not going to ruin it.
I want to watch that, especially since Zack Snyder did that, and I kind of want to see his work prior to Man of Steel. The 300 and Watchmen notwithstanding, because that's going to be a different tone. So,
I mean, it was good.
Plus, I've yet to actually sit down and watch a zombie movie. Other than Shaun of the Dead, and that one really doesn't count, I think.
Yeah, because it's more of a spoof.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie, and it is a zombie movie, but it's a comedy, so...
A very dark comedy, but still a comedy.
Well, yeah. Very British dark comedy, so you get a lot of interesting mix of things. But what does this have to do with holidays? I'll tell you what it has to do with holidays. Because there are some great comedies that have been made about the holidays.
Okay.
I wish there was some Thanksgiving movies out there, other than Squanto, A Warrior's Tale.
Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special.
Ah! See? Yes, because Charlie Brown has a special for everything.
They do. You know what happened?
What?
This year, it beat Lady Gaga.
I would hope so.
Like they ran Lady
Charlie-
Gaga concert or performance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, they ran the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special. And it's like Charlie Brown's been on TV. It's been on DVD forever. Still did good ratings. Still beat Lady Gaga in most of its competition. So well done, Charles Schultz and all the Peanuts. Even though it is a little dated.
It's a little dated, but I think it's because it still works for kids.
It still works. Plus,
I mean, I grew up watching the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
I think it's also one of those things like, we just had a big feast. Let's watch something easy.
Yeah. I don't want to watch a lady be weird.
Yeah. I mean, we've already eaten a bunch of meat. Do we really need to see her wear it?
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing against Lady Gaga, but whatever.
Oh, no. I really do wish... Weird Al would have the gumption to just walk up to her while she's wearing the thing and just start gnawing on it. That'd be awesome.
It would be better if he just showed up in his peacock outfit next to her and be like, hey, I'm doing what you're doing, only better.
He pulls out like some Heinz 57, puts it on and like... or A1. What are you doing? Yo, you're a steak. What do you want me to do?
Even better, it's like if you just forget all the gnawing on it. It's like if he just shows up with the Heinz ball, it's like, you mind slipping into this?
That would be great.
I mean, you've already gone the distance by wearing the meat. Why not wear the bottle?
Exactly. Oh,
hey,
there you go, Lady Gaga. A Heinz 57 bottle dress.
I mean, if Al doesn't ask it, I will. Granted, I'll never meet Lady Gaga, but hey.
I hope not.
Oh, she might be interesting. Who knows?
I'm sure she's definitely an interesting person.
The thing is, I only know her from pictures, so I don't know what she actually likes. So she might be a nice lady.
Yeah, there was an interview she did with Ellen DeGeneres that I saw for a few seconds. That was where actually when she debuted the meat dress.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, you seem like a nice enough person, but
interesting.
She was saying something about how wearing the meat dress was like something to do with vegetarianism, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, that and you're like anti-vegetarian anyway.
I'm a vegetarian.
I know.
What was it that I said to somebody? It's like every time I hear the word vegan, I feel the need to eat a cow. It's like, stop it! Being vegetarian is not good for you. You need meat. You need protein in your body.
We're getting off topic. Go back to movies and shows and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
Let's not get on a vegan rant, shall we?
But anyway.
Vegan police! Woo! Woo!
Now you're completely derailing me.
Sorry.
Okay, so, Thanksgiving, a great holiday in its own right, deserves its own month.
Yeah.
So I'm making a motion here. Petition for Christmas to start the day after Thanksgiving, like it should be.
At least the Christmas season.
At least the Christmas season. Actually, here's my personal viewpoint is, and this is how I personally promote it. Christmas season starts either A, the 1st of December, or B, the first Sunday of Advent, whichever one comes first. For instance, this year, the first Sunday of Advent came before.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Now it's officially the Christmas season. You can proceed. But, starting before November or before Halloween is just wrong.
It's all about the green, sir. People don't care.
That's the problem. People should care. People should at least... And see, that's the problem. You can shop all year round. You don't need to do this Christmas stuff then.
You don't need Black Friday and Cyber Monday, as they call it.
No.
Walmart's open 24/7.
Because I got news for you people. I slept until about 10:30 on Friday morning. I got a good 10 hours of sleep. That was awesome. That's what I need after a good large meal. And you know what? I saved just probably more money than a lot of people because I didn't spend a dime. And the bit of Christmas shopping I have done, guess what? I had pretty good deals because I get coupons from other stuff when it's just as good a deal. It's like I don't need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go shopping.
Or camp out in front of the stores, like a lot of people did.
I know, what? Seriously. You know, if you're going to camp out in front of something, do it for a good cause.
Or a good movie.
I was going to say that, actually. It's like, ooh.
I'm not going to camp out for Dark Knight, Matt. I will not do
I would not expect you to do that. I would not expect...
I'll meet you there.
In fact, come to think of it, I don't know of anybody that actually would camp out for Dark Knight, surprisingly enough. They'll do it for Star Wars, but nothing else. Kind of weird, actually, when you think about it. But I guess that was more of just the promoting the fandom of it more than anything.
Well, I mean, how long had it been since they made a Star Wars movie at that point?
Like 15, 16 years, I think.
I think that was... The intention was high enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it ballooned with Episode 3 when people were camping out like 4 months in advance. It's like,
Ugh.
you know, a week, a day, a week tops, but 4 months? Come on.
Don't they have jobs?
Well, actually, that's the thing, is they would do all their work online. They were web designers and stuff like that. They just needed their computer, and they could just work from wherever they were at as long as they had their computer.
Still, I wouldn't do that.
No, me neither. I'm sorry.
It's like, you like Batman, but not enough to camp out for him.
No. Maybe the night before. I could, at most, I could do the night before, but...
Now, camping with Batman, that might be interesting. Because you never know what you might find in the woods with Batman.
You know, I'd actually be quite scared.
It's like,
Batman, you never know what kind of crazies he's going to attract.
It's like, Batman, do you mind getting your own sleeping bag? Or at least give me a different one, because this one's all full of bat stuff, and it's neat, but kind of pointy. And I'm afraid if I hit something, it'll blow up.
See, I wouldn't even think about it. I'd be too busy playing with all the different gadgets to care.
They put that down.
What does this button do?
That's in case we run into a bear. You have a feeling it's a bear? No, we're in the woods. It's just a bear. Oh, it's not like a crazy psycho bear?
It's not like Bear Man? Ooh, Bear Man.
Now I'm thinking, like, it's Bear Man, but instead of, the catch making, it's a mutant bear. It's like, no, it's just a guy who likes to run around nude. He just happens to be insane. It's Gotham Streaker. Bear Man!
A naked guy running around committing robberies, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Easily identifiable.
Yeah. You can tell what religion he is.
Very true.
The only problem, though, no pockets.
Yeah. Didn't really think that one out, did he? Oh, no. Here's the kicker. He still has a mask on.
Did he have any distinguishing features? Yeah, I'd say he did.
We can't say them on public radio, though.
No.
So, moving forward, now we're getting into the Christmas season. Now it officially is the Christmas season, so we can talk about this.
I wonder if they've ever made a horror Thanksgiving movie.
They have.
Did they?
They did. And was it you who told me about it? Where it was like something about a killer turkey?
I might have. I don't remember.
Somebody I know has told me about a movie about a killer turkey.
All I think about for, like, killer turkeys is that South Park episode, like in their season 1, where they had mutant turkeys and they were all crazy.
Yeah. That reminds me of when somebody did a mashup of using South Park but crossing it with the episode 1 trailer, where they had the turkeys as the battle droids. That's pretty funny.
All right, so moving on to Christmas.
Moving on to Christmas.
Oh, ho, ho.
Fa la 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 la.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Which
Sure.
I know nothing about.
We know nothing about. I personally, I don't know.
Although I do have a funny, quote-unquote, Kwanzaa story.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I was taking a yearbook class.
Okay.
And it was a pretty liberal class because other than, like, actually doing your work, when you had downtime, you had pretty much free range of the classroom.
Right.
And some of the stuff she had, like the teacher had in there, was kind of weird.
Okay.
And my friend and I were just kind of rummaging around, just like looking for inspiration, because it was one of those things like, we need something kind of creative to write about, and for this one page, let's just look at something around the room, kind of rummage around, and then we got off topic. as friends do.
Yeah.
And we found this figurine. It was clearly a holiday decoration,
Okay.
but it kind of resembled a little like Santa,
Okay.
except perhaps maybe one of the wise men.
Okay.
But it was a figurine of a black man,
Okay.
but he kind of had like a Santa-ish garb,
Okay.
except it was blue.
Okay.
And we're like
Like it was a...
Like he had the hat, and he had the hat. And he kind of had the coat, but it was all blue,
Okay, so it was like blue and white as opposed to red and white?
something like that.
Okay.
I might remember misremembering the color scheme a little bit, but it's kind of
But
it.
blue was definitely there.
Blue is definitely there,
Okay.
and we're like, well, this is not Santa, but it kind of is like Santa. Who is this guy? And we're just like, it's Kwanzaa Claus.
I think it was probably about the same amount of time that I started hearing about Kwanzaa thinking, this sounds made up.
I mean, I'm not dissing it.
Well, I know nothing about it, but it's just one of those things where people are like, Kwanzaa's not a holiday, it's a season. It's like, okay, then what do you celebrate? We celebrate life! It's like, so it's like Festivus? I don't know. I've known no one who celebrates it. And it's kind of like, look, if that's your thing, that's fine, but at least kind of set it straight, and put some facts in there as opposed to making it sound made up. That's all I'm asking for.
But just to finish up. So not only did we find that infinitely amusing,
Yes.
that it was Kwanzaa Claus, we ended up, again, because we had some spare time on our hands,
Yeah.
we ended up making like a billboard, and had him as part of it.
Nice.
And he attached the figurine to it, and had like, Kwanzaa Claus says this. And it was one of those things where you could like erase stuff and then put new stuff on it.
Yeah.
It was like a dry erase.
Yeah.
So we would just periodically put new quotes. So it was very amusing.
Is this something you had in the middle of the classroom?
We put it to the side so it wasn't like obstructing anything, but it was still there.
But everyone could clearly see it.
Everyone could see it, and everyone found it funny.
Okay, good.
And just to be fair, we were not, it wasn't all white kids in the room.
No.
So the people who were, of race were there and on it.
And they found it funny.
They found it funny. And that's kind of my only
Remember any
thing.
quote of quotes you put in there?
I'm not antisocial, I just don't like you.
Very nice. That's not a T-shirt nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I got that from a folder I had that had a whole bunch of weird, funny quotes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there were some ones that I'd made up, but I don't remember them all.
Yeah.
Something about like the hamster watches you. I think that one was one of them.
The hamster watches you. That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, like during radio, one of my we had quotes of the day, quotes of the week, and one of the things I came up with because I just kind of asked this query because at the time we thought squirrels and hamsters were funny.
Yeah.
They still kind of are.
Yeah.
Whereas like if a squirrel and a hamster had babies, would it be Squamster? And so we're like, we're a whirl. So we just got so for a while we had a running gag of like, help! I'm being attacked by Squamsters. People are like, huh? Genetic experiment gone wrong. Help me! They're horrible but adorable.
Horrible and adorable. Squamsters.
Coming to a theater near you.
We should totally make that.
Or make like
That's got B horror movie written all over it.
or strange children's show.
Bit of both, actually.
Instead of My Little Pony, it's My Little Squamster, My Little Squamster. Gathering nuts and acorns and sunflowers.
But it's like a cross between My Little Pony and Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
Where like he lives with a real family, and he sneaks off to his own bit and like does stuff with his Scramster friends.
Yeah, or, like he hangs out with the hamsters and the squirrels.
Yeah.
He's kind of the bridge between the two. He goes on adventures, and there's a moral to be learned.
Yeah.
Disney, I own this now.
And at the end of the day, he still has to protect his nuts.
Yes. Hasbro, call me.
Dude, that's awesome.
Oh, man. That'd be great.
That would be great.
Can you imagine what a Squamster would look like?
Holy crap.
I'm sure that'd be the.
Like you said, horrible but adorable.
Yes.
That's how a Scramster would look. Horrible but adorable.
Like a train wreck. I don't want to look away, but I can't. It's so amazing.
That would be the tagline. My little squamps are horrible but adorable.
Yep.
Dude, we should totally make merchandise for this.
Well, then we have to go through the effort of actually making a Squamster, or at least a graphic of one.
I know people. I hope I know people.
By the way, Squamsters have nothing to do with Christmas.
Unless you got one for Christmas.
Unless you got one for Christmas, in which case, how?
Share. Stop holding out on us.
All right, this has nothing to do with anything, but at one point I was almost convinced because someone was like, "Oh yeah, I have a cabbit." I'm like, "What's a cabbit?" It's a
Cross
cat.
between a cat and a rabbit.
Yeah. And I'm like, that exists? And I was not so naive. I didn't realize she was talking about an anime.
Oh, okay.
Because at first I'm like, that'd be amazing. A thing that meows and eats carrots? That'd be awesome. Who wouldn't want that? And then I found out it wasn't real. I was so disappointed.
Isn't that like a cross between Sylvester the Cat and Bugs Bunny?
That'd be horrifying.
Elmer Fudd's head would explode if that happened.
I think a lot of people's heads would explode if that would happen.
Yeah.
So, Matt, what do you want to talk about for Christmas?
All right. Sorry, I'm still thinking about Squamsters.
I know, we've derailed it. It's all right.
Christmas. Okay.
If there are anyone artistic out there, we'd love to see your interpretation of a Squamster.
Yes.
That'd be amazing.
Posted on Freakout Entertainment.
On Facebook.
On Facebook. That would be awesome.
If we had that, we would totally make a T-shirt. I have no idea how we'd make a T-shirt, but we would totally do it.
I can make T-shirts.
Well, there you go.
We can make T-shirts. We just got to have the image.
You know what? I'm going to put this out there, just for a little bit of a incentive.
Yeah.
Let's have a contest, shall we?
Oh, yeah. Contests are awesome.
Now, it may not work. In fact, it probably won't work.
In fact, some of the best contests have no rules, no deadline, no prizes.
Submit your interpretation of a Squamster. We want to see them.
Yes.
If we like it, we will put on a shirt and send it to you.
Yes.
How about that?
There you go. Free T-shirt. Hey, we're finally giving away free stuff.
Exactly. Now, again, I will say, again, this is me making it up on the fly, but I will say there are going to be some rules to it in terms of, one, we will definitely, if we like your stuff, we'll talk on like a private message, so we won't have your information out there.
Yeah.
Also, we'll get your size and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we'll definitely make sure it fits you.
Make sure it fits. Other than that, we'll deal with stuff as it comes up.
As far as the image, just make sure it's, for the most part, family appropriate.
Yeah, make it family friendly. We do like to keep things clean.
Yeah.
So nothing horrible. I know we joked about the protect your nuts part, but, you know.
That's an obvious joke. I mean, everybody's aware of that.
Show some tact.
Yeah, show some tact. But I think we definitely will have the tagline, Squamsters, horrible but adorable.
Horrible yet adorable. So do that. That is going to be our contest. And
Yes.
at the moment, there's going to be no time limit. We want to see them.
Yep.
If we get a lot, then we'll have to add some rules to it. But
Yeah.
when we get a few, hey.
Then, hey, we'll be able to make T-shirts. And
And then we'll be like,
It's
hey, look,
Squamsters.
we have a Squamster. It's sort of our unofficial mascot.
That'd be awesome.
The Freakacast, home of the Squamster.
I like it. I like it a lot. It fits. Somehow it fits.
Why not? Something freaky and weird.
Yeah. Fits.
Yep.
Perfectly.
We're never going to get to Christmas.
You know what? That's a good thing. Because I've been so pelted with it for the past month. This is good. Because Christmas is about waiting. And I think people tend to forget that. Me being a more religious person than most, or than some, I personally have found the secular aspect of Christmas a little bit too much in the last couple of years. So I kind of like the idea of having to wait for it. That's one thing I look forward to with church is, going to church on the first Sunday of Advent and actually, and seeing one candle lit and having that sense of having to wait for Christmas to come. That's one of the things that I remember a lot with when I was a kid, is because, when I was real little, I would say before I was 10. Definitely before I was 10.
Yeah.
Every year I would make an Advent chain. So that on the first day of December, you cut one link off and you go, and so you have that sense of having to wait for it. And you're like, oh, it's almost there, or, oh, I have so much long to wait, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And with Advent calendars, you do the same thing. So you have that sense of waiting. And I think, for me, that's what Christmas one aspect of Christmas that I think is lost, and that's one thing I like to hold on to. And part of what I can, as an adult, I can get out of that is not rushing around to do my Christmas shopping, just kind of doing it as it comes. Not, I'm not the kind of person that has to have everything up right away. It's like, for instance, in my house, I know of people who put their Christmas tree up the day after Thanksgiving. We don't do that in my family. We usually, I don't even know how it got started, but we usually do it on the 10th because that's my parents' anniversary. And so it was a combination, hey, let's celebrate Mom and Dad's anniversary and put our Christmas tree up at the same time. And I like it. It's something my mom teases me, but it's like I kind of force him to do every year. Because I like tradition, and that's one of the things that I like is having traditions that help you feel like it's that season.
Tradition?
There's something to be said for it.
That's nice.
I'm not saying that you have to have traditions, but...
Oh, but it's nice to have them.
It is. It's nice because it gives you a sense of stability, I think, and that's one of the things about the holidays is people get so crazy running around trying to shop and all this stuff. And it's like, just stop and breathe and have those traditions that you should do as a family, or just, in your life so that you can remember, oh, this is what it's about. And I can enjoy this just one thing and kind of forget everything that's going on. Going along with putting the tree up, I have a number of ornaments, all of which were given to me by my mom. That's one of the things she always does, although she's getting kind of lazy with it in the last couple of years. See, I don't know if it's because she just decided not to or what, but she would always buy us an ornament. And most of the time, she would wrap it up like a present. And she would give it to us when we decorated the tree. So it was like, oh, we get a little present. It was an ornament, but you still had no idea what it was.
It was like, here's a little taste of Christmas.
Yes. And it fed that fuel to the having to wait for Christmas aspect of it. And one ornament that it has to go on that tree. And I get very upset when they don't let me put it on, which has only happened like once or twice. It's a ball ornament, but it's basically a train. It's like a little bitty train around a track.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
A mountain.
And it moves.
And it moves because you plug it into the socket of the tree lights. That's one of my favorite. I don't know how long I've had that thing. It's easily since I was a kid, but I love that ornament. It's just one of those things. It's like it's not officially the Christmas season to me, like until that's on the tree and everything. And it's one of those things. I am kind of sentimental when it comes to those sort of things. And I also like the fact that, at least in my family, we don't put the stockings up till Christmas Eve. For me, it's like that needs to wait. I remember actually the family friends I was talking about before with the Thanksgiving with no turkey leg.
Yeah.
Well, one time it was in December. It was before Christmas. We went over to their house for a Christmas party. Well, they had everything up. They had the tree, they had the presents, they had the stockings. I'm like, it's not Christmas yet. Why do you have your stockings up? It's like, to me, it was wrong. and it was one of those interesting moments. That was the first time I'd ever seen someone else have their stockings up like way before Christmas Eve. So it was a little off-putting for me, but it was a good reminder of, oh, this isn't your house. This isn't your traditions. But at the same time, it's like, it's okay as long as it stays that way in your house. Because I get territorial with that kind of stuff sometimes, which I think is a good thing. Be like, oh, it needs to be this way, just once in a while. Not that way with everything. That's a bad idea because then you're not flexible with life.
Yeah.
But you should have certain things that you need to have. Let's see.
Well, if I can talk of some traditions of my own.
Yeah, actually, I was just trying to think if there was anything else. Those are the only big ones I can think.
Well, I think I'll start with the tree.
Okay.
I do want to point out, for me, Christmas kind of starts with the 1st.
Okay.
Because that happens to be my mom's birthday.
Ah, a good way to start off. So
December 1st, to me, marks the beginning of Christmas season.
Yeah.
So, happy birthday, Mom, coming up. Actually, by the time this airs, she'll be your birthday.
Yay, happy birthday, Mrs.
Happy
Felson.
birthday, Mom. So that, to me, kind of starts it. Another thing that's a nice tradition for me is I help my dad put up the tree.
Yeah.
We've had a fake one for a long, long time now. Because unlike you, we didn't grow up in the woods and couldn't cut down our own.
Well, we didn't either, actually. I only do that because I like doing it.
I know. But also, it kind of, real trees tend to be expensive. And also, on the kind of sort of, I don't want to sound like too green, but I don't want to cut down, I don't want to be the person who has to cut down all the trees all the time, dude, I mean, I know it sounds weird, but a lot of trees get cut down.
Well,
So I don't feel like I should add to that number.
in a defense of anybody in that regard, Christmas trees are grown in a farm, just like anything else.
I know, I understand.
So, well, I mean, they're harvested.
I
so-
understand. I mean,
It was
the thing
actually
is-
quite weird the first time because they have one in Maryland where my uncle lives,
Mhm.
and we drove by and I'm like, there's a lot of Christmas trees. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this was like in the summer when we saw it. And I'm like, what are Christmas trees? And my mom was like, oh, it's a Christmas tree farm. I'm like, they grow them in farms? It's like, holy crap, I didn't know that.
And the thing is, I have nothing against real trees at all. I mean, I like them. They smell nice for the most part.
Yep.
So there's that. And we did have real trees for a while. I remember my cats at the time used to love to go underneath and drink all the water.
Yeah, cats love to do that. Our cat would always eat the needles.
And then, you
And
know,
tinsel.
and then you discover you can't use tinsel, even if you like it. But yeah, I helped my dad decorate the tree. I used to have, as a little kid, I used to have ornaments I liked, but those are all gone. Because Mom decided she wanted the tree to be more pretty. And most of my ornaments were quote unquote tacky.
Yeah, that is the interesting thing that's different between your parents' tree and
I
my
know,
parents'
yeah.
tree. My mom's like, my mom actually forces us to put the crappy ones up on the tree. She's like, you had that when you were, 4. I'm like, Mom, it looks bad. I don't care. That's going on the tree. It adds character. We're like, okay, fine, whatever. You want us to put the crappy ones up there? We'll put them up there. I mean, and we're talking about the little ones, like the paper cutouts with the picture you made when you were like in kindergarten.
I get you. But, to get back at her a little bit, I can't do it now because I don't think it's there anymore, but I used to have this little pumpkin thing that you can slip over a light.
Yeah.
I would hide that on the tree every single year. Drove my mother crazy.
The thing is, I'm trying to think, because I don't think you could do that with my mom with the tree. The thing is, she'd be like, okay.
I mean,
it adds more color.
The thing is, like, she wouldn't disallow it. It wasn't like it was.
Yeah.
It was just like a piece of plastic. It didn't hide. It just added to the light.
Right.
I mean, it drove her nuts that it was there, but it was more of like, it's there. All right, whatever. You win.
Yeah.
There's so much other stuff on the tree. It won't get noticed unless you point it out.
Yeah.
As far as like having presents out, that's kind of always a thing, but except for big, like surprise gifts
Yeah.
or big gifts.
Right.
Like there'll always be
Where's
stuff underneath.
Yeah.
And the big stuff won't happen until, the morning of before I wake up.
Yeah.
Or like they do it when I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Or whoever else is asleep. So the idea of seeing presents is never an issue.
Yeah.
As far as stockings go, the way we do it in the house is like the stockings themselves will be part of decoration somewhere else. But how we do it is in the morning, there will be a stocking by the bed for each person. And I always take my stocking, go to my parents' room, regardless of what house it's been in, and we open our stockings together there on their bed.
I was about to ask you, because you grew up in a house that did not have a fireplace.
Yeah, we would hang, the stockings would be hung on the staircase.
Okay.
Because my mom used to, not anymore just because her health hasn't been as good.
Right.
But she would go all out for Christmas. That's one of her favorite holidays.
Yeah.
So, like, our house, like in Florida, would be decked out in lights, as best we could anyway, because we weren't going to go crazy with it. But, like, all the inside would be all Christmased up. Like, bathrooms would have Christmas rugs, and the way she would do the stairs would she would wrap the I think it's the garland.
Yeah.
Like the fake Christmas tree stuff.
Yeah.
She'd wrap that all along the staircase, and she'd have lights on that as well.
Okay.
And so part of the decoration for that would be the stockings.
Yeah, okay. I was just kind of curious because it was one of those things where until I met you, I've never known of a person who didn't have a fireplace. And it was such a culture shock for me because, growing up in a house where not only did we have a fireplace, but it wasn't like a gas fireplace. I mean, you had to put wood in it. It was just the norm,
Yeah.
And like my parents' house now, they have 2 fireplaces. Now, I mean, obviously it's on the same chimney, one's on the top level, one's on the bottom level.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's like we've always just put it at the fireplace. So the idea of not putting your stocking on a fireplace is a little foreign for me. But I also realize in Florida, especially South Florida, there's not need for a fireplace.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's like, where do you put your stockings? And the funny thing is,
Wherever you can.
that was the first thought I had when I found out you didn't have a fireplace. It wasn't, well, how do you heat your home in the winter? It's, where do you put your stockings? So it always kind of struck me as odd. Because to me, that's just the purpose of a fireplace. It was never actually for the fire. That was the purpose of the mantle, was so you had a place to put your stockings.
So, I mean, I've always enjoyed. I've never gone away. I've always been home for Christmas.
Always?
Always.
You've never gone to any other family
I've
place?
never gone, maybe for Christmas dinner, but as far as Christmas morning goes, I've always been home.
That's definitely not something I can say. In fact, there have actually been a few occasions where, definitely a few occasions where we've had Christmas at another place because, when you have family that lives in other states and you want to have Christmas with them, guess what? You can't exactly have Christmas morning at your house and then drive there later the day. No. In fact, my brother's first Christmas, the Christmas of '91, we spent with my grandparents in Chicago at my dad's house, where he grew up.
Aha.
Which I kind of wish. I mean, I remember the house enough because it was there, and then they didn't sell that till like the late '90s. We had been there enough. I knew the house well enough. That was the year I got a Game Boy.
Nice.
The original Game Boy.
Nice.
Not the color or anything new fancy. The original Game Boy with the case that looks like a Game Boy. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
I just had the sudden desire to yell Inception. It's a Game Boy within a Game Boy.
Within a Game Boy. That would have been awesome. If it was the Game Boy in a case inside a Game Boy with a book that looked like a Game Boy, that would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome.
I know that, that was also the year I got my first pirate ship, first Lego pirate ship.
Yar!
Yar! That was awesome. Still is, although I made some improvements.
Yo ho ho and a merry Yarmus.
And a merry Yarmus indeed. That was also the year my brother got his first set of stitches. Because of me. It's just one of those, I shouldn't say it was funny, but it was just weird. He was crawling along the kitchen floor. Mm-hmm. I gave him a little pat on his butt to kind of help him move along. And he hit his chin on the floor, and it started bleeding. I'm like, what on earth is this? All I did was pat the kid on the butt. So then my mom's like, we're taking him to the next thing I know, we're taking him to the hospital. Like, what? All I did was pat the kid on the butt.
And apparently they're like, yeah, by pat did you mean shove? Are you trying to kill your brother, Matt? Are you? Like, no!
I did what every good brother does. I toughened him up so that he can handle it. The interesting thing is that later in his life, he ended up getting that area because it was right along the chin. Mm-hmm. Right along the chin. Nice little line on his chin. Still has a scar from it because it opened up a second time later in life where I forget exactly how he did it. He had that set of stitches. There was another time where he was running around. He was running around. I don't remember what I was doing, but he was running around the family room, and he hit his head on the coffee table. Not the one we have. It was another coffee table, and opened up his not his eye, but like right above his eye,
like around the temple.
Yeah. No, it was actually on his eyebrow.
Okay.
Got stitches there. And then he opened up the chin. So yeah, it was funny. By the time he was 5, he had 3 sets of stitches.
I've never had stitches.
So that's not the only place he's had stitches. He also had stitches on his finger from when he got caught on a door.
No, I take that
in
back.
A doorway.
I have had stitches, but they're different stitches.
I'm not sure if he's had to get stitches since he started working at the vet's office. I'll have to ask him next time. He certainly could probably stitch himself up by now.
Yeah.
As much stuff as he's had to do with that. But
I'm sure you want to walk up and say, you always make a mess when you stitch yourself up.
I should totally view that to him.
Were you mauled by a tiger? It was a dog. A big dog.
That fits for him, actually, since he works at a vet's office.
Yep.
It's like I didn't think about that. But other than that, that particular Christmas, that went pretty well, other than, having caught my brother to get stitches.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, is that because my mom decided, she liked to make stuff for us for Christmas, and she made him this ginormous stocking. Now, granted, in reality, the stocking wasn't that big.
Yeah.
But it was bigger than the average stocking size, and I'm like, why does he get a bigger stocking? Because I'm thinking bigger stocking, more stuff.
More stuff.
That's not true. His stuff was just bigger because he was a baby.
Yeah.
You know, you put a Tonka truck in there, that's a good size. You know, it's going to take up some space. I do also remember, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess it was probably my first official pattern. It was a Robin Hood pattern. And my parents got me a big tub, and they already bought some fabric for me. So I was able to make a Robin Hood costume. That's all I really remember that particular Christmas. But that was the first time, that was certainly the first time I remember where we were not home for Christmas. And then, in no particular order, we also have spent Christmas at my grandmother's in Maryland after she moved back there twice. One time, the first time we were there, I got my ginormous Lego Star Destroyer and spent the full day of Christmas. In fact, once I opened that thing, that's all I did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There was no going outside and playing with the other boys and what they got. That's all I was doing. And the day after, that was a day and a half of production there. That was a hefty thing. And then the second year we went up there was the year I got my lightsaber. And my cousins also, they each got the Darth Vader lightsaber. So we were outside battling lightsabers, which was pretty cool.
Like the plastic ones or the FX?
No, the FX ones.
Oh, like the one me and Steven got you.
Yeah, that's what I'm actually talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the year you and Steven got me that one, and then my cousins also got the Darth Vader version, so...
How convenient.
I know, it was. It was almost like you guys had planned it.
But we didn't.
We didn't, which is awesome. I'm trying to think, and I don't remember if we actually... No, we haven't spent Christmas up at Chicago in the past, since that first year, at least I can remember. We spent Easter... Because a lot of times with the way the school system would work out, a lot of times Easter would fall either right before or right after the spring break. And so if it fell before spring break, we would drive up, say, that Saturday or that Friday after everyone got off work and spend Sunday morning and Easter and all that, and do all that stuff, and then we'd have the rest of the week to just visit with people.
That's cool.
So... I haven't spent too many Christmases far away. I always, for the most part, been at home. And I enjoy being at home, although I do miss my old house because I got a lot of good Christmas memories there. So. Although, nothing will ever, I can't say it will ever be. I hope one day I have a Christmas that is more awesome than the one I just had. Because this past year was the best Christmas I ever had. It was for one simple reason.
It snowed.
I got snow. That's all I ever wanted for Christmas was snow, and I got snow.
Now, to back this up for some historical context.
Yes.
The location we're in Georgia had not had snow on Christmas for at least, 100 years?
Something like that.
So last year was the first time in at least 100 years or so where it snowed on Christmas.
Yeah. Now, it snowed, growing up in Georgia, it snows at least once a year.
Periodically here and there.
But it doesn't snow, it usually doesn't snow in December. It usually waits till about February or March. And it was 93 we had our first blizzard, where, we were snowed in for 3 days. We had no power. You could not drive up the drive. It was a good foot of snow. So we were pretty snowed in. And I hadn't seen anything like that since then. This year was just amazing. I still have the pictures on my camera. And, I was really glad that I got my camera because it was just one of those things where we were sitting in the living room, and Dad was sitting there reading a book, and we had the fire in the fireplace, and there's snow in the background. I'm like,
it's Christmas.
I was like, this is Christmas right here. It's like, Dad's like, what? I'm like, the fire, the decorations, the snow. This is what Christmas should be. And he's like, okay. It's like, I love this. It's like, let's just not mess this up. It's like, and that's the thing. For me, Christmas isn't about the present. Yeah, what I get for Christmas is memorable. Like when I talked about getting the
Star Destroyer?
No, the Ninja Turtle lair. Yeah,
the Turtle lair.
While I enjoyed that, while I certainly hold on to that memory, it's a very fond memory of, not only having gotten it, but the way it was presented to me. That's a very fun memory. That's not what made Christmas for me. It was about being able to spend it with my family and being able to enjoy that experience with them. Mm-hmm. And that's what I enjoy about the snow. Is because me and my brother, after later in the day, we went out and had a snowball fight. Granted, I should have put on my gloves because my hands started freezing pretty quickly, but that's what was great about it. And one of the other great Christmas memories that I have, it was my brother's. I can't remember if he was 2 or if it was second Christmas, but we were home, And
hopefully you didn't shove him into anything.
no. No. He was quite fine at this point. We had a boxer at this point. This is another boxer than we had now.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom likes to do pet stockings. And usually it's just one stocking for the pets.
Yeah.
Because at the time we had, I don't know how many animals, because we had the horse and the goats and everybody. And she's like, I'm not doing it for every single animal, but,
You had almost a zoo at that point.
Yeah, we did. That's why I felt like I grew up on a small farm. But it was kind of the point where she would do one stocking and the pets would get their own things.
Yeah.
Well, there was a collar for Joe, our boxer. And then there was a smaller collar. My dad was like, I don't know, that doesn't look like it'll fit Chung. I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess Mom's maybe got the wrong size or something. Well, my parents being the awesome parents they are. Also, my mom realizing, oh, my kids are clueless. This is great. Great in the sense of it's great. They have no idea what's about to come. At the same time, it's like, maybe she should have realized, hey, maybe I should give them better hints next time. Because, and I don't know how you guys have it, but when we do our stockings, it's not the case anymore because all our stuff was on one level, and it's practically the same room where our Christmas tree is in the main part of the house where you first walk in, and then our fireplace is there. But in our old house, you had the living room that had the fireplace, and then we had a separate where you actually had to walk through a hallway and all this stuff to get to the living room and dining room. And usually we would put our Christmas tree in the living room, dining room area. And it was two rooms, but it had a little open, like, double doorway.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't even doors there, it was just the doorway. So while it was two rooms, you could think of it as one room when need be. And so we'd have the tree in there. So, at this time, we're getting this little collar. We have no idea why. Mom got the wrong size. Or Santa got the wrong size. I can't remember if it was Santa or Mom at this point. But somebody got the wrong size.
Right.
We're like, what's going on here? Okay, whatever. So we go in here, and there's this big box. And then this puppy jumps out. We're like, oh my God, we got a puppy! It was a Sheltie, which is basically, you're familiar with Lassie.
Yes.
It's a collie, which is a sheepdog that's used for shepherds. They're actually, the reason they're sheep herding dogs is they instinctively have to herd things. Mm-hmm. This can be a problem if it's your pet. Part of the reason they chase cars. Because in their mind, a car is something that is moving. Why is it moving? It needs to be where it was at. It's not that they're chasing it to chase it. They're thinking, uh-oh, it's in the wrong spot. I got to go move it back in the spot.
Right.
They don't realize it's on its own accord and it's a car, obviously. Mm-hmm. But Shelties are basically a smaller version of a collie.
Okay.
Sheltie is basically a shorter version of Shetland sheepdog.
Okay.
They look pretty much the same. Although I did find out that the males are the prettier ones, so Lassie, in the show as a girl, was actually played by a boy.
Okay.
Because they're prettier.
Go figure.
Yeah, so you're getting a little dog lesson right now. Well,
that's kind of the case in a lot of animals, actually.
Yeah, it is. Except humans.
Yeah, except humans.
Which kind of makes you wonder. It's like, I think we kind of lost the ball there.
No, we actually got two.
That's true. Oh, you're bad.
That I am, sir.
Anyway.
Not so bad that I'll get coal, which I've never gotten.
I was always one of those people. I was like, what's wrong with coal? If you give it enough pressure and it becomes a diamond, you can use it to heat your home.
And if worse comes to worse, it can be a nose for a snowman.
Yeah, and you can use it to write with. You can write on a piece of paper with. I always saw coal as I was always one of those people. It's like, okay, fine, you want to give me coal? I'll find a way to use it and make it a good thing. Just to destroy your chances of ruining my Christmas.
I mean, the idea of coal, like in Florida, I don't even know where you could get it.
I never understood why it was coal. I was like, coal's not necessarily a bad thing. If you wanted to give me, I don't know, nails in the butt, I think to me that would be even worse. A spanking would be worse than coal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know where even that started. That's probably something that just old school that
I think it is. There's a lot of those old school traditions. I mean, the idea of stockings.
Yeah.
Was once I don't know if you're how familiar with it, but St. Nicholas would go around the house and drop stuff. I forget. I think it was one of the things I heard. It's been a while since I've read it, and I can't confirm it. Plus, it's one of those myths and legends that kind of come about.
Yeah.
But supposedly, when he was going around to the houses and he would drop stuff in the chimneys because he wasn't going to break and enter, he just dropped it in the chimney. He would make sure that there wasn't a fire in there. You can tell lack of smoke. It would happen to fall in the socks that they were hanging dry. I don't know if that's... I think it actually is probably more of the tradition of St. Nicholas Day that the Germans started, where they leave the shoes out on December 6th.
I think that's probably more likely.
Yeah. But I think it's probably a combination of things. That's the interesting thing about Christmas traditions. A lot of them, we really have no idea how they get started. But one of the traditions I actually kind of miss, not that we could do it now, but mostly because of the cost and it's a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
But one thing we used to do is with our Christmas tree, we would buy what's called a balled and burlap. So it was a Christmas tree that had all the roots. And it contained within a burlap sack.
I get you. So once you're done with it, you can plant it.
Yeah. And so we would just plant all our Christmas trees down along the fence line.
That's cool.
And it was pretty cool because, you don't have to cut down a tree. And at the same time, hey, you've got an extra tree. Especially where we lived, it was nice to have that, because it was such an open area, it was nice to have that protection from the wind.
Right.
And a little bit more privacy. Of course, it was a pain in the butt to have to cut the grass around. But, especially with a riding mower. But still, it was one of those things I remember thinking, oh, I wish we could do this every year. And that we, every year we have a Christmas tree and we do this and, it's like kind of marking how long we've been here. As much as I enjoy that, I realize the connotations that go with it, the consequences too, mostly the cost nowadays especially.
Yeah.
But my mom primarily has gotten very lazy as she's gotten older. And so not too long before we moved from that house, she decided to go with a fake tree. I was very much against the idea. I'm still against the idea. I will always be against the idea of a fake tree. I realize that real trees are more work and you're cutting down. It's like, I don't care. It's like, if you're going to have a tree in my house, it better be real.
Well,
so
you've heard the story, but our first fake tree, my dad, it was like during the summer, my dad found this tree at such a reduced price. He's like, I'm buying this. Why? Because it's only $5.
It was $5?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And that tree lasted for so many years.
Wow.
You saw it.
Yeah.
Only, I think, from the past 2 years we have a brand new fake tree.
Oh, wow.
So that tree for $5 lasted and lasted and lasted. So with the cost of real trees, even without the roots,
oh yeah,
think of how much money we saved for just buying it for $5.
Oh yeah. And I guess if you're getting it for, and
it was a fairly nice tree.
I was gonna say if you're getting it for less than $20, I can. As a value-conscious person, I can certainly see the point of getting a tree that's going to last you a number of years for only, let's say, $20. Even if he spent that much. He didn't, but even $5, even better value. At the same time...
I know, it does take away from it.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm willing to spend the extra money. Obviously I'm not going to go out and, get one of these high-end, $200 trees. I'll spend $30 once a year for a real tree. To me, it's worth it, Or, as I've done in the past, just go out in my parents' woods, cut down one. Because there's something manly about cutting down a tree with your bare hands, too.
Well, with an axe or a saw.
Well, if I could do it with my bare hands, that would be even better.
You'd be Chuck Norris.
I would be.
Except Chuck Norris doesn't have to cut down his own tree. He just stares at it.
Yes, that's very true. Did you see the Chuck Norris commercial for World of Warcraft?
I have.
That is awesome.
It is awesome.
He's like, I am Chuck Norris, and I approve this game. I'm like, I want to buy it now.
And he's like, bam! And his in-game character's just kicking butt.
Yeah! That's awesome. And they're like doing the Chuck Norris jokes in the commercial. Mm-hmm. That's great. They should totally make the Chuck Norris character for that game.
Did they make the Mr. T one? I don't know if they did.
I don't know if
I don't play Warcraft, so I don't know.
I know, but still, it'd be awesome if you could play as Chuck Norris and literally you're completely invincible.
I mean, I know that
you have the stare down attack where you can just stare down bears.
And you have a third fist.
Yes, behind your chin.
I know they did.
I'm like your entire inventory is nothing but roundhouse kicks. It's like, where's your money? I don't need money. I have roundhouse kicks.
I know they did eventually make the Mohawk grenade that they had in the commercials.
Oh, nice.
But I don't know if you can actually be a night elf Mohawk or whatever it was.
Still, that'd be kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
I mean, really, with that game, I mean, that's been around for a while. You might as well just go all out and go just off the wall with it and have fun with it.
I mean, they kind of do at this point.
Yeah.
For some of it, anyway. So, Matt, what would you say? I mean, I think you may have touched on it. What would you say would be your best and worst Christmases?
Well, I mentioned my best.
Okay.
Because that was the one we finally got snow. Oddly enough, my personal worst, it's not so much because of what I got or what I didn't. It was the feeling that I had that year. Even, and then this is going to sound surprising after giving my brother a set of stitches on one year for Christmas. But see, that one was a nice Christmas because that was my brother's first Christmas. And so being able to share that experience with even though he was so young at the time, he wasn't even a year old yet. Mm-hmm. It was also the first Christmas that I got to spend with my grandparents in Chicago. That was just a really good experience for me. But oddly enough, the year before last was, I think, probably my least, I'm not going to say worst, but my least favorite Christmas. So last on the list, only because, first of all, and that's not to say that I have to get Legos every year, but it does tend to happen.
And it helps.
And it helps. Especially when, now that I moved out and I don't have something to do right there, it helps to have something to do during Christmas Day. Especially since I like to have something to do, to kind of pass the time. The funny thing is,
here's the kind of the setup. It's like, your brother's there. He's somewhat of a gamer. He's got games.
Yeah.
You're not a gamer.
I'm not a gamer. Plus, a lot of the games my brother has are only one player. Or, like, for instance, he's been playing a lot. For instance, a good example, he's been playing a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. He went to the midnight release and everything. And we did actually play that this past Thanksgiving when I was up there, which I actually did really well at, surprisingly enough, for the first time. So I know, it was like between actually winning a match of Smash Brothers with you and actually not only... I'm not necessarily say I won, but I actually killed like 3 guys within the first 5 minutes. Like, holy crap, how did I do that? It's like, I've never done that before. I'm getting better, apparently, by playing around people much better than me.
Apparently you're just doing it by osmosis or something.
It must be. But even when I play with my brother, we played for about half an hour to an hour, and he's kind of like, okay, I'm kind of done. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of done too. Even when we play a game like that together, we don't really go, I mean, it's not like you and your friends. We don't go 6 hours.
Well, I've never done that.
I mean, or even, we don't even go 2 hours. We'll go half an hour tops. That's just kind of our thing. It's like, and we might switch off games. Like, we might play Mortal Kombat. We might do Modern Warfare. If you feel up to it, you might go back and play Battlefront. That's pretty much it. Or Halo. And even with Halo, it's something that we both enjoy a lot. We're not going to sit there and play it for 3 hours.
Right.
So it's tough for us because my brother's kind of like me. He'll find a style of game he likes and stick with it. And for him, it's the shooters.
Right.
And he's also playing this game called Dragon Age, which is a role-playing game, which he really likes. But yeah, he's kind of a gamer. I'm not. I like to build things. And
hence why it's in the song.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, it's one of those things where you ask me what I want for Christmas at any point in time of the year, I'm going to tell you 2 things. Movies and Legos. It's really all I ask for. It just changes based upon the lineup that Lego has and the movies that have come out that year.
Of course, the nice thing about Legos, even if you've already got the set, you need the parts.
Yeah. And that's the thing I like about Legos, is you never have too much. I mean, until you're, surrounded by them and they're starting to attack you. But there's always a project you can do where you can't say, I have too many parts. Mm-hmm. You can always find something to do, because you can always add on to it. So
right.
It's not like other products where you say, okay, it's not like games where you can have too many games and say, oh, I have too many games, I don't know what to do with myself, that sort of thing. With Legos, it's like, okay, I might not have enough space for them, but I certainly don't have too many, because there's always a project you can do where, actually, one of the worst things that can happen is, while I have all the Legos I have, I actually don't have enough of certain parts. Right. Which makes it frustrating. It's like, oh, I have all these Legos, but I can't build this one thing I want to build because I don't have enough of this one type of part. Like, I might only need 4 of them, but I only have one. Duh!
Or like when you were building the hospital and your
Yeah.
buildings, you had no windows.
Yeah.
You didn't have enough of those, so you would just periodically go to the store and just
Which I need
fill
to pick
cups.
some. I need to get some more of those. Because if as big as I have the Wayne Enterprises Tower planned to build, I need to get like 4 more of those cups, just for that one building. But that's what I'm saying. And so with Legos,
So that one year you didn't get Legos.
not only did I not get Legos, I got laundry soap.
Laundry soap.
Yeah, because that was when we first moved into the apartment. My mom's thought process was, hey, I'm going to get you some stuff to set you up. I'm thinking, that's great, Mom. Could you just give me this to me after Christmas? You didn't have to give it to me for Christmas. And it's like, I'm not expecting Legos, but at least something frivolous would be nice. A movie that, I asked for. My brother came through and got me Green Lantern First Flight. Had I not had that, that wasn't even that long of a movie, hour and a half tops. I was like, okay, I'm done. Now what? Like I just kind of sit around. That's why it was my least favorite Christmas, because it was boring. I think my brother had to go to work that day, because since he works at a vet's office and people board their animals there, he does have to, like for instance, for Thanksgiving, he had to go to work. Now, thankfully, it wasn't like it was a long shift or anything. He had to go in about 2. He got done about 5:30. Go in for a couple hours, just, feed the animals, clean their cages, let them out to go to the bathroom, let them walk around for a little bit, that sort of thing.
Right.
But still, it's like he had to go do that. It's like, okay. So there's no Legos, and that was the first Christmas I had spent like that, where I was home with my parents, but I didn't have my stuff. Had it been another type of situation where I had my stuff there, I would have been like, okay, I'll go get on my computer, or I'll go build something out of my own Legos, or whatever. But when you don't have something to do, to keep yourself occupied, it's very boring. That's why it was my least favorite one. It's just the feeling of Christmas wasn't there. I didn't have something to occupy myself, and my parents are not exactly the kind of people that are partiers unless my mom has some alcohol in her. So, and typically, liquor stores are not open on Christmas.
Yeah.
So that makes it kind of difficult. So it's one of those things where, oddly enough, somehow a Christmas where my brother gets stitches is more enjoyable than a Christmas that involves laundry soap.
Wow.
Yeah, as far as Christmases go, that's on the lowest of the list. There's other things that I enjoy about Christmas, and some of the things that I still hold on to. One of the things I haven't done in many years, with moving and that sort of thing, and kind of getting relocated, moving twice in the last 10 years. Actually, I take that back 3 times, because we moved twice after we moved out of the house. Because first we moved into a rental house, then we moved up to the lawn ago, so.
That's twice, and would you count here as a third?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm kind of sick of moving.
Well, moving stinks.
It does. But one of the things I used to do is
I've moved more times in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah,
Not more times, but about the same.
Yeah, you also have less stuff, though, so that kind of helps.
I suppose, but still, it's moving stinks.
It stinks no matter what, but at least when you have less stuff, it's not as much of a hassle. You're at least more mobile.
Of course, the stuff I do have, some of it is quite heavy.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. One of the things I used to do is I used to play in my church choir. Now, let me rephrase that. I say choir, but it was really more of a band. Because I play violin, and I used to play in the choir, and
Violin.
what I really enjoyed about that was I never played music. Like, I didn't play music that was written. I did all improvisation. And I got pretty good at it, to the point where I could play different styles. Like, I could even play like a rock and roll violin, which sounded pretty cool. And it was a lot of fun. And so a lot of times I would, since I was in the choir, we'd play at whatever mass that we were supposed to play at. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you sometimes have to work on Christmas Eve. But thankfully, for most of the time, the mass that I was supposed to be at started late enough on Christmas Day where I could go to work, close, and still get done and be there in time for mass. So I could still play. And I miss doing that just because it was a lot of fun to be part of that. To be part of the people up there making the music, not just be part of the congregation going through the Christmas Mass.
Yeah.
But Mom has decided to say, oh, well, that's great, but we're going to go to midnight mass from now on. And I'm like, really? Because... And it's kind of come back to bite her in the butt, mostly from my brother's end. Because my brother's... the first year we did that, my brother's like, okay, it's Christmas now. Can we open presents? And this was after we got home from church. She's like, no, we're going to bed. I was like, but it's Christmas. I want to open presents. My brother's much more of a night person than I am, so he's already awake and everything. Like, actually, this past year, when we got home, we made hot chocolate. You know, it's 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like, whatever.
Why not?
It's like it's Christmas. We're having a cup of hot chocolate before we go to bed. But the funny thing I found was that I don't know if you were like this when you were a kid, but when we were kids, we were early risers. And my parents, at first it was, okay, the sun has to be out before you can wake us up. Then it's got to be 8 o'clock before you can wake us up. Now they have to drag us out of bed. I think last year it was about 9:30. Mom was like, come on, can we get up and go do this? And we're like, but I'm sleeping. She's like, it's Christmas.
That has happened.
Okay.
That's happened.
I wasn't sure, because I know you're kind of a late sleeper. I wasn't sure if you were ever early and riser, or if that was always part of your personality.
Well, when I was really little, I was, I think with Christmas, it's always the exception.
Okay.
I mean, I think when I was little, I was sort of an average sleeper. Yeah. Like, wake-up kind of person. For Christmas, it's like your anticipation is already high. It's like, I can't wait to get up. I'm up! Oh, but I gotta wait for them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But now it's like, Andrew, come on, get up. We're not doing this at noon. Wake up. I'm like,
And they're like, it's Christmas. I should be able to sleep till I feel like getting out of bed.
Let me have a holly jolly. Let me sleep in.
For some reason, I know you're not a drinker.
No.
For some reason, the way that you said that made me think of you like holding a bottle of rum in your bed. Where you're like, honey, Johnny.
That's me. He's like, I need my jelly fuel. One thing I forgot to mention we haven't done it in the past couple of years, which is kind of saddening, but one of the things we used to always do every year, and we would always try to include other people. Yeah. Is we would make Christmas cookies.
Okay.
And she would make from scratch. Yeah. Like obviously not like the dough from hand kind of thing, but we get like dough packs.
Oh, see, my mom would make the dough from scratch.
I mean, we had the flour.
At least with sugar cookies.
I mean, that's what we're using.
My mom. When I was younger, we used to decorate cookies.
Let me put it in perspective. She had the mix. Okay. We'd still have to make it, like, put the flour in and, like, all the stuff with it. Yeah. And then, we'd get rollers and all that sort of thing. So we would do that. And that was something that I could take part in. My dad loved to take part in that because that was a nice, fun thing to do. And my friends would come over. Right. And it's one of those things where we did that growing up. So people who I were friends with for a long time always came over. People whom I made friends with when I was older, like in high school, I introduced them constantly, hey, I'm making Christmas cookies. Come on over and let's make some. They're like, all right. And then I'm sure in their mind they're thinking, this is kind of weird, maybe a little fruity. But by the time they get there, like, this is really fun. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. We've had cookie cutters, make our own cookies, bake them. My wee mom would make icing. We would decorate them. And we'd have, like, sprinkles and stuff. Yeah. So it was really, it was one of those things where you make a lot. You save some for Christmas, save some for Santa. Like, we would always leave a cookie for Santa and a carrot for the reindeer. Yeah. And whatever you have extra of, hey, you can eat them there. As we got older, things got a little more adult.
No, it is. I'm gonna point out Kyle and Mike here.
They were certainly
as two potential inmates.
Yes, definitely. And well, they tended to go a little more X-rated. Yeah. And, I tended to go a little more strange.
Yeah, that's totally your MOs.
I know, it's like...
I can see this.
Because in my head, it's like, why shouldn't my gingerbread man have two heads? Why not?
Yeah, I can see that for you.
But then there was also times where, like, hey, let's be creative. I'm going to make a different snowman. Instead of, like, the cookie cutter, I'm going to make a round ball of dough, put a smaller piece of round dough, put another piece, make arms and legs, or just arms, and a top hat. There's a cookie snowman, 3D, instead of flat. Worked.
Did you actually bake it like that?
Yep.
Neat.
And Mom's like, I didn't think that'd work, but that's pretty impressive. And we would do that every year. We haven't done it in the past couple, unfortunately. But that's something I always looked forward to.
Yeah.
But it was always fun.
I can't say the same. I mean, I can say the same in the sense of I remember when I was younger, we would decorate cookies. But for me, having already had other creative outlets, for me, decorating cookies just felt like work, not fun. Plus, I was always the mindset of I just want to eat them. I don't really have to decorate them.
I mean, with the exception of the later years where we got to start going a little crazy.
Yeah.
And even my dad was in on it. He's like, well, if we're going to be crazy, I'm going to be crazy too.
Yeah.
But it was more of an event. It was like, hey, let's come together. Let's have not so much a party, but let's have some fun. It's
I was going to say, if you were there with your friends, that would definitely make it worthwhile. See, me, it was just me, my dad, and my brother. All right, spent all the time I wanted to with those guys.
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of like it didn't have the same kind of feel. The only thing I can definitely say for sure that, like, with my mom with Christmas, with baking, she'll make cookies, but she doesn't make a lot of cookies that require decorating. But that's okay because they're so good. Like, it's one of those things that I'm sure, and I hope that your mom has a recipe that she uses that's been passed down in her family.
I think so.
Okay. I'm sure she has at least one or two.
Yeah.
But my mom has her grandmother's molasses cookie recipe. And they are so good. Because molasses has its own kind of flavor. She actually made a molasses pecan pie for Thanksgiving. Talk about a mouthful of sugar. I mean, it's like she just dumped... I don't know if she made it according to the recipe, or I think this was the first time she's ever made it. But I took it, I'm like, this is kind of interesting. What is this? Whoa, that is some potent stuff. Because you just taste molasses. And not to say that molasses is bad, it's just when you're not expecting it. But the molasses cookies she makes are really good. And she'll do her thumbprint cookies, which is kind of like she takes the sugar cookie dough, sticks her thumb in it, and then puts the Hershey Kiss.
Yeah.
And then she'll do, what they're called Forgotten Kisses, where it's like a dough ball air puff thing. I forget exactly how they're made. Something that my dad's mom would make. There's a number of things that my mom has kind of pulled together from both her side of the family and my dad's side of the family that they both like. But my mom's a good cook to begin with, but when she gets into cooking and baking, as long as you do not distract her.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I know I have the ADD, but I definitely get that from my mom. When we're in the middle of something, do not distract us. Don't even say hi. It's like there was at one point my mom forgot to put in the sugar for a cake because she was distracted. She'll burn stuff if she's distracted. It's like, Mom, and I think I told her this last year at Christmas. I felt so bad, but at the same time I was like, I'm trying to help you, Mom. It's like, don't talk on the phone. I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to do I think I was drawing or something. I don't remember. It's like, I'm just going to stay over here and make sure you just stay in the kitchen. It's like, Dad, don't even come in the kitchen for a glass of water. Just leave the woman alone so she can focus.
So, the worst thing you could do to your mom while she's in the kitchen is, jingle keys.
If you want your cookies to come out not the way they're supposed to, yes. Because when she makes cookies, she makes some damn good cookies. And she makes a lot because she knows her family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, here's a pan for Gary and a pan for Andrew and a pan for Matthew. It's like, I should probably make more for other people that come into the house. And some more for people that, that Gary can take to work. But then you need to make another pan for him to eat while he's on the way to work. Because she knows if Dad takes a tin of cookies to work, he's going to eat about half of them. I mean, what was it last year? She made cookies and these are supposed to stay, these are supposed to be for Christmas. And well, why'd you put them out? It's like, Mom, you know us. You should have two batches, the decoy cookies and then the actual cookies you want to save.
There must be one year my mom...
Because I don't know how you guys were with the cookies, but we don't start eating them when Mom says we can. We start eating them as soon as they come out of the oven.
Oh, we live in the cool.
We don't even wait for that sometimes. The cookies are done. Can they fire off? Good. Oh, there's a little hot. Okay, put some milk on them. We are vultures when it comes to cookies.
I remember one year my mom decided to put out a bowl of the the holiday M&Ms, like the red and green.
Mm-hmm.
That she put out early.
Yeah.
Which was a mistake.
Yes.
Because everyone ate them.
Well, see, my mom always has this candy dish. And it's like it's a really pretty candy dish, and she'll put like the mini Reese's and the Rolos and stuff like that. She'll do the pre-wrapped candy. M&Ms, she's never done that, and mostly because she realized, Dad will eat those by himself.
Oh yeah, I mean that was
because this isn't a big candy dish. It's probably enough for probably a good couple handfuls, but
I mean it wasn't like a giant bowl either. It was probably about the same size, and she put it out there. It's like, oh, this will be nice. People can see. Here's some candy, but it was like days before Christmas. I mean, now when we do that, it's like on Christmas. She does it, but like this is days before. So not only am I around, Dad's around, but other people are around. That was gone in a day.
Yeah, easily.
She's like, what happened? Like, you left it out.
Yeah.
It was there. It was chocolate, and some of them had peanuts in it, and they were good.
See, you'd be lucky if that lasted an hour at my house between my dad, my brother, and me.
You know, it's like...
I'd be lucky if I got any now that I think about it.
It's like, what do you want? Dad was here, Wayne was here, Mike was here.
Yeah.
I was here. I'm sad you missed it.
Yeah.
Every time we walked by, we had some. And we made sure to walk by.
Oh, see, we wouldn't even walk by. It's just, there's candy dish. Sit. Just start eating. So, Andrew.
Yes, Matt?
Are there any Christmas movies you like to watch to get yourself into the spirit of the season? Or on Christmas Day? Because, you can always turn on TBS on Christmas Day and watch A Christmas Story.
Christmas Day is reserved for whatever movie of the day that we get that we really want to watch.
Okay.
That's pretty much our tradition.
That's a good tradition. I wish my family had that tradition.
Yeah, I heard, like, the one time you got a movie, no one wanted to watch it with you when you were sad.
That kind of happens all the time, actually.
Oh, well.
It's kind of like, I'll get to the movie. Hey, who wants to watch it? No, we've already seen that. But you can go watch it, though. It's like, you guys are no fun.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately this year...
I'm hoping this year it'll happen with Captain America. Since Mom actually liked that movie enough to want to watch it again.
Well, I was about to say, unfortunately this year, my dad went out and bought most of the stuff that we were going to buy him.
Yeah.
For himself. Granted, he said he's going to wait for Christmas to watch it, at least past that, so... There's going to be definitely a good pick to pick from. It's like, well, I really want to watch that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So as far as stuff before, I mean, the only thing that comes to mind holiday-wise isn't even Christmas, technically. Because, like, I try to watch Nightmare Before Christmas at least in November.
Yeah.
To get me in the mood for Christmas.
Let's see.
Or
really
October.
Christmas. Yeah.
So it's like, it's not really a Christmas movie, though. I like Rudolph.
Okay.
Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's definitely a Christmas... I don't watch it every year, but if it's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And that's the stop-motion one. I know there's cartoons.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the only one you should be watching.
But as far as that, I was never a huge Christmas movie person, to be honest with
really?
you. I don't know. I guess because to me it was... Again, even as a little kid, I must have been built for it. It just felt too predictable for the most part. Unless there was something out there, it was... I like The Grinch.
Yeah.
The animated one, not the movie.
You don't like the movie?
No.
Oh. I'm sorry.
To me, that's like, wow, Jim, this is you at your worst. Sorry, but it is.
No, that's I can't really. I'm not really. That's wow. I've never heard anybody say that because I really like that movie.
It's fine.
Mostly because going into it was well, I really like The Grinch and I really like Jim Carrey. Holy crap, I like this movie because it's Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
I wish I could do that. Because I had the same mindset. It's I like The Grinch, I like the movie, I like Jim Carrey. I don't like the movie.
Well, prior to seeing that, had you seen the Ace Ventura movies?
Yeah. I saw at least one of them.
Okay. In fact, everybody in my family liked that movie. It was kind of, I don't know.
I'm not trying to come down on it. It's fine.
No, I'm just,
whatever.
No, I realize that. I'm just wow, I've never heard that reaction from somebody. But I always like The Grinch too, and it's because... Not that there are not Christmas movies out there, or certain movies that I like to watch to get myself in the spirit of the season, as easy it is for me to say.
You know what my problem is before you go on?
What?
I think one of the biggest problems I have, and I think this also lends to when I was a kid, is to me, a lot of it felt, even as a kid, I realized it's way too commercialized. Where there wasn't a spirit of Christmas. It was more of, hey... It's about buying stuff. It's about this. It's about that. Well, with the exception of hey, The Grinch it's not about the toys. Well, that's the nice moral to it,
right?
You know, so
that's for me what I like about it is, oddly enough, the Christmas movies that I like watching are not your typical Christmas movies.
Okay.
For instance, I really like to watch Batman Returns in December. It's a Batman movie, yes, but it's definitely it takes place during Christmas.
Takes place at Christmas.
It's wintry. It at least gets you in that setting tone of things. I also like to watch Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase because that's quirky enough. And you know what? There's definitely no message other than don't work for a boss who's willing to give you a Jelly of the Month Club membership in lieu of a bonus. Have you ever seen that movie?
I have.
It's pretty funny. And I also like the Charlie Brown Christmas special.
Yeah, that's always a good
That's a good classic. Rudolph, I was always... I mean, I watched it, but I was never like, gravitated towards. But the Grinch, I gravitated towards. 2 reasons. One, I love the message, but also...
Well, it's Dr. Seuss. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. But it wasn't just that. I mean, I appreciate it even more now because of the fact that, in fact, that's the only, of all of the Christmas movie specials, that's the only one I will say, you know what, that's the only one I want my kids to watch because of that message. It wasn't even so much that it's commercialized, but what do the other Christmas movies have to do with? We have so-and-so has, ruined Christmas because he kidnapped Santa. And the poor children won't get their toys. Really? Christmas is about kids getting toys? That's no. So what does the Grinch do? The Grinch steals Christmas, and it happens anyway. And everyone is still rejoicing because, hey, Christmas is here and we love Christmas. We don't need stuff.
Yeah.
That's a much better message than everything else.
We're happy to go outside, hold hands, and sing.
Yeah.
It'd be creepy to do that now, but...
Actually, I was like, we should totally do that now.
I mean...
If you had a big group of people, it could work.
I mean, some people still do that. Where they go out door to door and do choruses and stuff like that.
No, I mean, like you go out and make a ring of people and sing the Dahu Doris song.
Dahu Doris?
Isn't that what they say? Dahu Doris,
I don't know.
Doris? I don't know.
It's in Who language.
It's who speaks, so who knows? But I'm ching. Who knows? Yes. Who? Yes.
The shadow knows.
The name of the people. Who? Yes. What? I'm confused.
Yes isn't even at this concert.
But
that reminds me. They had the Animaniacs had a Noel song that I always remember. It's like because they start off with Noel, Noel, and Santa there's Noel. He won't be too happy if you don't learn to spell.
We gotta find that. Oh, the Peaky the Brain Christmas special.
And then they go up to the then they're Jack and Jill and they go up the hill.
Yeah.
And they're like, "There's no well, no well. Can't believe there's no well." We went all this way. Now I'm mad, can't you tell?
That is awesome. That's
and yeah, the Pinky and the Brain Christmas special had a good one. A lot of shows, if they have any sort of decent run, they'll have a Christmas special.
Case in point, Christmas with the Joker.
Yep. Which we already heard, don't really need to go into it anymore.
No, I'm just reminding us that, hey, it exists.
It's there.
It was like, oh, but one of the things that I gravitated towards with the Grinch was the fact that he made his own Santa suit. Being a young tailor in up and coming costumer, that's something I sort of gravitated towards. So, in true me fashion, this was when I was in elementary school. I made an elf costume because my dad was Santa because he actually had a Santa suit, still has it, I think. He would play Santa for the whatever organization it was for the foster kids in the county we lived in. And so he would go do that, and they would do like a thing where he would play Santa and then give toys and everything. And so I was like, well, that's Santa, so I need to be his elf. Well, for some reason, either I couldn't work it out or something, or we didn't know how to do it, but I could never actually be his elf helper at the event. But one thing I don't even know how it happened. I just know that it happened, and it was fun, was my 5th grade teacher apparently got wind of this elf costume.
Yeah.
And somehow I got picked to dress up as the elf and go around to a couple kindergarten classes, and read them 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. That was fun. And it's kind of like, that right there, I was in 5th grade at the time, doing this with kindergartners. So we're combining storytelling, dress up, and working with kids.
And entertaining.
And entertain, things that I do now. It's almost like somebody should have seen this coming and warned me. But I do remember in one of the classes I went to, one of the kids asked me, he's like, well, it's not, because this was maybe December, but certainly not at Christmas time.
Yeah.
And so one of the kids was like, how did you get here? Because it's not Christmas yet. How did if Santa doesn't have his sleigh, it's like, so I had to come up with a story about how I got there.
Well, this should be good.
So I told him, I was like, well, I was shipped here. They were like, what? It's like, yeah, I put myself in a big box and I shipped here. And I totally bought it. It was the only logical thing I could think of at the time. But, it's one of those things. I enjoyed it, and I tell you, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Because it's one of those experiences, even though I was only 10 years old at the time, it was still a really fun experience, and I got to do something that I thoroughly enjoyed. And it really made those kids' day. Just to have that aspect of Christmas, at least to some extent. So
yeah. You're a strange one, Matthew Puetz.
Yes, finally, it's actually an appropriate time for you to be using that song.
I know. Who knew that, when I first made that connection, that it had such a strong connection with you?
I know.
Hence why you must like it.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Other Christmas stuff.
Well, I asked you about your best and worst. So I guess it's only fitting I should tell mine.
Yes. Especially since I'm starting to run out of things to talk about.
I'm going to go with worst first.
Okay.
Because I do have some notable stories to go with the best ones.
Okay.
Because there's actually a couple I want to talk about that are notable for me.
Okay.
The worst one, other than, even thankfully, like when I worked at Denny's for 3 years, I didn't really work on Christmas much.
Oh, that's good.
Because they were like, we've worked you on most of the holidays. We'll give you Christmas.
Well, that's good.
So the worst Christmas I ever had is one I can barely remember. But
It's funny. Out of all my friends, that's the only time I would ever get it. They'd be like, dude, this is the best Christmas ever. I have no idea what happened.
Well, it's one of those things where if I was a party animal, it was like, I don't remember what happened. The next day, it's like, it must have been a great... No.
Yeah.
I don't remember how old I was. I was definitely 10 or below.
Okay.
And it was one of those times where you wake up and you're not right. Doesn't matter what day it is. It's one of those, or like, one of those things like you wake up and you immediately know right away you're not well.
Okay.
And my parents, it was awful. Like my parents like trying to get me. I was like, come on, let's go have Christmas. Let's have fun. I'm like, no, I want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
I'm really not feeling good. I want to go back to bed. They're like, come on, it's Christmas. And they literally had to force me to open gifts that I didn't even want to do.
Yeah.
Just to get it over with, and I immediately, and it was, my family was coming over for Christmas dinner that day, and I had nothing to do with it. I was like, well, as soon as we were done with the Christmas stuff, I went back upstairs, went back to my bed, slept.
Wow.
Because I felt that bad.
That sucks.
I mean, I think I woke up periodically here and there, because they're like, and they would peek and say, you hungry? He's like, no. Okay. Merry
Christmas. Feel so bad that you just slept your Christmas away.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I remember it happened. I vividly remember, like, just saying to my parents, I don't want to do this. I just want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
And when you're a little kid still, like 10 below, that Christmas is still really meaningful to you in sense of, like, I get stuff.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the thing, it's still like, hey, stuff.
Yeah.
And that had no meaning. It's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to open anything. I want nothing. Let me go back to bed.
Yeah.
Because I feel that the worst I've ever felt because it's Christmas and I don't want to be here. Yeah. Can't you understand that?
Yeah.
So I was that sick.
Wow. That's pretty bad.
So it's one of those things where I couldn't even tell you what I got that year.
Yeah.
It was like, because it was literally like, yay. Uh-huh. All right. Can I go back? Can I go now? There's more?
Wow.
Yay.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And you got no enjoyment out of opening presents whatsoever.
Exactly, because it was a chore, because you didn't want to do it, because it was preventing you from what you really wanted, which was go back to bed.
Yeah.
So that was
I've been fortunate. I've never been sick on Christmas Day.
So that was by far the worst I've ever experienced. Some of the better ones. I mean, obviously having snow on Christmas was awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, growing up in Florida, I didn't have snow up until a couple years ago, so that's always been fun. Granted, the first time I got to see snow falling was at 4 a.m. My mom woke me up, and I'm like, great.
It's like this. I appreciate the thought, Mom, but the timing is really off.
And the thing is, like, both my dad and I had the same reaction. It's like, it's 4 a.m. This could have waited. It's not going anywhere. What do you want me to do? Go out and play in it? I'm not.
It's just started falling. It's got to wait about a couple hours.
It's like, let me go back. Again, it's like, I'm grateful. I want to go back to bed. I'm in my 20s now. I need this rest. But some of my better ones. As you know, I like video games.
Yes. Much more than me.
Much more than you. Wasn't the year it came out, but I think it was still a really hot item when the Super Nintendo came out.
Okay.
And a lot of my friends were getting them, and I still had the NES, and that was also the point where they were stopping to make NES games.
Right.
So I was like, oh, can I please get an Super NES? Oh, I really want that. Like, no, you're not getting that. Can I please get the SNES? Like, no, and it was getting close to Christmas. I'm like, maybe they'll get me it for Christmas. And I'm like, please, please, please. And like, no, we're not getting you an SNES. But still bugged him.
Yeah.
Not to the point of being annoying, but it's still like, oh, please. Now, that was also around the time when Power Rangers were big.
Okay.
So I was also getting Power Ranger stuff at that point. So Christmas finally comes.
Right.
And I'm excited because I'm whatever age.
Yeah.
Young enough to like Power Rangers and Nintendo.
Yeah. I was sitting here thinking, we still like Power Rangers and Nintendo, so I'm not really sure what the appropriate age is.
Not so much Power Rangers anymore, but Nintendo at least.
Well, I'd say we have fond memories of Power Rangers.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I mean, we have the Dragon Zord here.
Yeah.
That you want to make a Lego replica of. So, yeah.
Or a costume, one of the two.
Or a costume. I never got the Dragon Dagger, sadly.
Oh.
And I don't want the new one.
Yeah.
I would rather have the older one, but it's one of those things like, never had it, but don't need it now. So, whatever. But anyway.
If they made the older version again.
If they made it, I would consider it, just for nostalgia value.
Yeah.
But anyway. So I'm getting stuff, and my parents are like, oh, I think you want to open that one. And it's a fairly sizable box. I'm like, oh, that's got to be it. That's got to be it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I want. And I open it up, and it's not.
What?
It's this Power Ranger gun thing. It's not the gun that I had.
Okay.
Like the one that turned into a blade.
Yeah.
It's this cannon thing that shot like the color of the Power Ranger. It had like balls for it that you can load it in and launch it. So
I hope it wasn't the Blue Rangers.
No, it was different color balls.
Okay.
And it was kind of like a dragon-ish design for the nozzle.
Okay.
And you load the balls in, and it shot them. I think it was battery powered.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where I opened it up, and it was.
And you're expecting a Super Nintendo system, and you get this.
And it was one of the few times where I could not hide the bitter disappointment.
Yeah.
And my and even if I don't like something, like when you're a little kid, you hate getting clothes.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it's clothes, whatever. But the fact that I've learned over the years, and I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
The fact that someone gives me something, I appreciate.
Right.
Because it's like they don't have to.
Yeah.
But so I appreciate when they do.
Right.
But it was one of those few, and my parents like right away was like, oh, you don't like it? I'm like, no, it's fine. It's just, I don't even know what this is. I've never even seen this, which was true.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed. And like, oh, you sure? But we can take it back. I'm like, no, I don't. And I started feeling bad. It's like, I don't want them to feel bad that I didn't want this. And so it was one of those things like, oh, but thanks. I mean, it's Power Ranger stuff. I'm sure I can shoot Mike with it, which I later did.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things like they could tell I was I was disappointed with it. But I think they had this in mind.
Okay.
This was a cunning plan of theirs. Because like, Andrew, go in the kitchen and get something for us real quick. I'm like, all right. And then I come back and I get whatever. They was like, by the way, you missed something. I did? Look over there. Oh, okay, it's a box. Open it up. Super Nintendo! Holy crap!
Nice.
So like they more than made up for it.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that was their plan, was to get you something that they thought you'd be disappointed. That way you'd be even more excited.
I mean, I don't think so, though, because, again, I was into both of those things. I was
Okay.
definitely into video games. I wanted the Super Nintendo badly.
Yeah.
They knew I wanted it. But they also knew I liked Power Ranger stuff, and they were getting me Power Ranger stuff.
Right.
And that was also, I think, at a point where it was still kind of hard to get, especially because, we're on Christmas where it was still a hot item.
Yeah.
So any Power Ranger stuff you can get, even if it's not exactly
Even
the
if
thing
it's
you
something
want.
you didn't know existed.
Yeah, it's still like Power Ranger, and,
Yeah.
it worked, and it's got this thing.
And it still works today. They still sell Power Ranger stuff, even though I don't
Yeah.
even know if the show airs.
I don't
But
know.
oddly enough, at Halloween time, in Party City, you'll see Power Ranger costumes.
Yeah, that's-
Obviously, they're not the ones that we grew up with, but
Yeah.
they're still there, and they still sell the merchandise.
Yeah,
So
still sell toys. Oddly enough, I have most of my Power Ranger stuff still.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have the gun. I think that got sold in a garage sale at one point. That's definitely not one. That's definitely one I don't have anymore.
yeah.
So that was definitely one. I was like, awesome. Another video game related one, and this is one that I was not expecting at all.
Yeah.
Was at one point, I had the PlayStation, original PlayStation.
Yeah.
And this was the year that the PlayStation 2 came out. And that was one of those things where I wasn't going to ask for it.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like, in my head, I had no idea what it cost. Like, I was in high school, or maybe, I was probably early high school at the time it came out.
Okay.
And it was one of those things like, I've got a PlayStation. There's still a couple years left where they're still making games for it. I can save up for a PlayStation 2 if I really
Plus,
want.
by this point, you have a better idea of the actual cost, and you also are old enough to know that, okay, chances are in a year or two it's going to go down in price.
Chances are year two is
It'd be easier to get.
Easier to get. Also, at that point, I was more aware of the fact that, oh, hey, we're not rich.
Yeah.
Like, I knew we were never rich to begin with, but it was one of those things like,
But when you're a kid, you really have no sense of money.
yeah. So it's one of those things like, I had a sense of money at that point. It was like, it's kind of expensive.
I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted all the Ninja Turtle figures. I didn't care how much it cost.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, well, you guys have jobs. You have money.
So it's one of
You
those
know.
things where, like, I had no expectation of it.
Yeah.
So when I got it for Christmas, I was like, whoa!
Yeah, you were totally not
I was
expecting.
genuinely surprised.
Did you even ask for it?
No.
Oh,
They knew it existed. They knew my other friends were getting it.
okay.
And it was around. And, like, they were seeing commercials for it all the time. It was like,
Right.
oh, and plus, like, hey, it's a DVD player. We have a DVD player, and you can have one of your own, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't say that to me, but I'm sure that's what they were thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously, he uses his PlayStation,
Yes.
because we're not going to get him something he's not going to use.
Well, and PlayStation 2, they did two things with that game system that really helped sell it. Not only was it also a DVD player, but you could play PlayStation 1 games on it.
Yes.
That was the big selling point for my parents, because I remember, my brothers being a gamer and being, that sort of thing. They were actually, I think it was also Xbox came out at the same time. And so there was talk, and they were like, well, let's compare both systems and what's going to be better for you. And they said, look, you can use it, you can play your PlayStation 1 games with it, and it's a DVD player. That right there is worth getting this system versus an Xbox. Mm-hmm. Granted, they did not foresee the necessarily Xbox-centric games that you can't get for PS2, but
No, and
same time.
I think PlayStation 2 was a little bit before Xbox.
yeah,
But the fact remains, it was still a big purchase, and I was still totally blown away.
yeah.
Now and what my parents have always done is they'll always, as I said earlier, they'll always hide big stuff. I've gotten the bikes for Christmas
Yeah,
more than once, and that was stuff that you don't see until later,
yeah.
like, until it's all there. And obviously, you can't hide a bike. Can't really gift wrap. I mean, you can try, but you know it's going to be a bike.
Yeah.
So one year, they're like, okay, I don't know how they did it, but I was in middle school at the time, I remember. Mm-hmm. And Christmas morning, there are cutouts of what are supposed to be Santa footprints.
Okay.
They're leading from the stairs to the porch. And I'm like, well, this is weird. Obviously, there's something back there. So I'm following the footsteps. I look out there, trampoline. So apparently, Christmas Eve, after I went to bed, my parents and the neighbors put together a trampoline for me.
Very nice.
And they got this because I was into wrestling.
It's a good thing your mom is your mom.
I know. Well, it's one of those things where, like, they started doing the fake pro wrestling out in the front yard. Then they moved to the backyard, but they're doing it on the ground, and that's kind of dangerous. Then they moved to inflatable mattresses, which is better, but they almost broke one, and they're still not, I mean, they're doing good, they're not hurting themselves, but if they're doing this on a regular basis, let's get them a trampoline. That way, if they hurt themselves, it'll be even funnier. No, that's not their line of thought. But they're like, they'll enjoy that. And we did.
Yeah.
We used the heck out of it.
Yes, you did.
That was definitely like one of their more odd, because it was, again, and that was the thing I was not expecting in a million years. Because
Yeah.
it was one of the things when I first saw it, laid eyes on it, I'm like, a trampoline? What? I didn't even consider owning a trampoline.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was pretty darn awesome.
Yep.
But
That was definitely awesome.
I know this is all gift centric, but there's love behind a lot of this.
Yeah, well, and I think that's that's one of those things. I'm sitting here thinking, actually, there is one Christmas I did forget to mention, and that's.
But let me finish.
Okay.
One more.
Okay.
It's a really good one.
All right.
Well, I mean, that's not as good, but it's
still good.
It's good in the sense of this was something that more than two people, my parents, came together on.
Okay.
Where it was, I was working at Denny's at the time, so I know this because it revolves around some of this.
Yeah.
And the TV I had in my room was crapping out.
Yeah.
Like it was.
As TVs tend to do.
It was a cheap TV to begin with,
Yeah.
and unfortunately it had a mono speaker, and the speaker was dying.
Ah.
So there were times you're like, smack, come on, work, smack, smack. All right, it's working. No one move. My friends saw this. My parents saw this. I saw this. But I was like, TVs are expensive. Whatever. I don't always need sound. I'm fine.
I don't always need sound. Especially if a Britney Spears video comes on.
Yeah. And so, I go to, it was like Christmas Eve. I had to work at Denny's. I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to go. Mom was like, you should go to work. I'm like, I don't want to go. She's like, you're going. I'm like, I know I'm going, but she's like, you're going to be late. I'm like, all right, fine. Next night, I'd say this because I'm going to tell why later. So, Christmas comes.
Mm-hmm.
I go downstairs. There's this big box, all gift wrapped. I'm like, what the heck is this? Because again, it's like it's one of those things where like, if you're not like at that point, like the stuff I'm asking for are smaller.
Yeah.
It's like at that point, I'm like, I like games, I like DVDs. I know the shape they come in.
Yeah.
That rectangular box thing that a lot of people are familiar with. So those are the things I'm looking for.
Right.
So I'm like, what the world is this? It's a TV. The one I currently still have.
Okay.
And I look on the tag. It is from Wayne, Mike, and Kyle, and Cody. And
Nice.
they all came together and bought me this TV.
It's very nice.
And my parents, I think, helped wrap it or something.
Yeah.
And they knew about it. And the reason why they were saying, my mom was like, you should go to work. I'm like, all right, I will. Because literally, as I'm rounding the corner, leaving the house, they round the corner to come in.
Get out of here because we're trying to get this taken care of for you.
Exactly. Had I stayed a minute or two longer, I would have seen it.
Oh, wow.
But it was really a heartwarming thing. My parents were like, wow, you have good friends.
Yeah.
Because we didn't tell them to do that. They did it on their own. So it's one of those things I don't have if things went away, you don't always need material goods.
Oh, no, definitely.
But there are certain things where when I look at certain things someone bought me that.
Yeah.
They didn't have to buy me that. But they did it because they liked me. They liked it because they knew I would like it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I can't say this enough, where it's not about material goods on Christmas. It is about family and friends coming together and holding hands, singing songs and the end of the Grinch.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's about people doing things for other people.
So that's one of those times right there where that really truly embodied it for me. Where that's really, yes, I got something out of it, but it's not about that. It's the fact that it came together for that purpose to give goodness to something.
Yeah.
To spread cheer. And that's kind of how that felt to me.
I'm trying to think.
So those are Christmases that really rocked.
Yeah. I was gonna touch up on when you were talking about the trampoline, it made me think there was actually a Christmas that I forgot about, only because other than the one gift, I really don't remember what else I got for Christmas. Although oddly enough, I do remember a present that my brother got that year. There was a year I was late middle school or early high school. There was this ribbon.
A ribbon?
A ribbon. And apparently I was, it was in the living room where the Christmas tree was. And the ribbon was going out the door. And I'm like,
oh, like the footsteps.
yeah.
Okay.
So I held up the ribbon, and it leads to a go-kart.
Nice.
Yeah. I was so enamored. I was just like, I was completely speechless. I didn't know what to say. I'm like, oh my God, it's a go-kart. This is awesome. And my brother at the same year got a Power Wheels dump truck. Now, this is one of those things that, while you're thinking, okay, why would he get a dump truck? He loved that thing.
I'm sure.
Because my brother, at the age that he was and growing up in the kind of area that we did, where you had a lot of land and you had a lot of stuff to do.
Thing is, Matt, it's one of those things, you don't have to put that in context. One, he's a boy.
Yeah.
He's like tow trucks and dump trucks and those sorts of things.
That's very true.
That's why Tonka exists.
Yeah.
2, it's Power Wheels.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Power Wheels. You don't have to say anymore.
That's true.
Heck, I loved Power Wheels as a kid. I remember having one.
See, I never had one. I never had one. I think that's what made getting the go-kart that much more awesome. Power Wheels. Now I'm driving for real.
Kawasaki Ninja cool. Kawasaki Ninja rule. Vroom, vroom. And I remember looking at that as an older kid. I'm like, oh, man, I wish I was younger again.
I know.
I want that. And now I own a car, and I'm still like, I still want that.
I know. It's like Power Wheels are so much more awesome than real cars.
I mean, granted, I can go faster than it now, but still, Power Wheels.
It's not a Power Wheel.
If I could slap Power Wheel on my car, I would.
I was going to say, we should totally make that as a bumper sticker. Just have Power Wheels. But no, he loved that thing because he would use it like anytime Mom was working on the garden, he'd back it up and he'd put rocks or dirt or whatever she needed and he would dump it in. So it was actually a useful tool, probably more useful than anybody realized. All of a sudden he became the go-to guy when you needed a load of something.
It's like, why have a wheelbarrow when you have a kid with a Power Wheel?
I know.
He can do the job, plus he's amusing and adorable.
Yeah. The only downside of the go-kart was the fact that because my dad knows like little to nothing about vehicles.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, anytime that I put the throttle down all the way, it would come apart.
Ah.
So you get it going, and and our driveway was long, about a quarter of a mile long. So I get going in the driveway and turn around and it would cut out. Well, you can't just fix it on the spot because Dad didn't know how to fix it.
Right.
So then it was basically out of commission for about a week or two until Dad decided to take it in and get it fixed. That happened on a fairly regular basis. I really only drove the thing about 3 or 4 times.
Aww.
In about the how long did I have the thing? I probably had it a good 5 years. I only drove it about once a year.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That stinks. If I had a go-kart, I'd drive that all the time.
Well, yeah, if you had a dad who knew how to fix it. I think the problem was they bought it used.
Ah.
Because they were trying to buy a go-kart for me within a budget they could afford. So when you buy a used go-kart, it comes with some problems. So.
Come to think of it, if I had a go-kart where I was living, that would have been really handy.
Yeah. I'm sure it would. You could have driven to your friend's house.
Yeah, I could have driven to my friend's house. A lot of stuff I would have wanted to be at was somewhat close by that I can go to on a go-kart.
Could you not go there on a bike?
I could. I did.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, it would have been convenient.
Yeah.
But it's like, I had a bike. I still could do those things. I mean, granted, by the time I met Wayne, I was driving.
Yeah.
And he lived further away.
I mean, and granted, driving the go-kart was fun, but it really sucked the fact that I kept braking because I really wanted to take it out on our main, it wasn't a main road, but the main road that I lived on, even though it was a dirt road, because it was still fun.
Yeah.
Of course, me being me, I had a go-kart, my friend had a dirt bike, I'm thinking Batman and Robin. So I had this awesomeness effect for that. There was once or twice where we did that, but it was one of those things where I didn't ask for a go-kart, I don't think, but my parents got it for me. It was great to get it, but it's one of those things where it's like, I learned from that. It's like, okay, if you're going to get something for somebody, make sure that they have everything they need for it. Make sure if it's something that requires maintenance that it's not going to break on them. Because you want people to enjoy the gift. And not to say that I didn't enjoy the gift. The go-kart was great, but it's one of those things I'm learning from my parents' mistakes.
Like, with the exception of things like building toys and things of that nature, or things you have to plug in.
Yeah.
If it's something you have to build, have it built.
Yeah.
You don't want to have...
Or in the case of a go-kart, you want to make sure you want to try to make sure it's not used, or if it is used, take it to a mechanic and maybe get somebody to take a look at it. Yeah.
Like, it's, like having a used go-kart That's one thing. It's like, hey, it's something you can bang up. That's one thing.
Well, not only that, but like I said, they were able to get me a go-kart, something that they knew I would enjoy at an affordable cost. It would have been nice if Dad had said, okay, I'm going to take it to a mechanic and get him to look at it just to make sure it's in good condition.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a mechanic, and I don't know what to look for. I don't know what kind of conditions it's in, so have somebody look at it.
You know, like case in point, like the trampoline. Have it built.
Yeah.
And I've gotten swing sets for my birthday, I think at one point. It's better to have it built. You know?
If you say so. We always built ours.
I'm just saying, like, especially if it's...
But see, that's the thing. For me and my dad, that was the project. And so for me, that's actually what I got. Me being me, I got more enjoyment out of that.
Well...
Like, we built, you know...
Well, then we'll say that with a grain of salt, then. Have it built unless that's something you were into with your kids and stuff. But if it's not, you know, if they're not artsy-craftsy...
Yeah.
Or, you know, manly men who like to build things, have them built. Because... You know, the thought may be there, but seeing a swing set in a box or a trampoline in a box is not as effective as actually seeing it built and ready to go.
No.
Because what do kids want to do? They want to go out and jump on it. Or swing on it.
Or ride it.
Or ride it.
For instance, my parents would, when they bought my brother a new bike, I was old enough at the time to know Santa wasn't real.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. The fat man in the red suit is only a figment of your imagination.
You know, unless he's out there...
But he's a good figment of your imagination.
You know, unless you see 5 of them out there clanging bells out and trying to get your money.
In which case, run. Run very far.
By the way, small minor gripe.
You can give to the Salvation Army, but not before Christmas season starts.
Yeah, they had a guy saying Merry Christmas and stuff before... it was after Halloween, but...
Not long after.
But it was still before November.
It was like, what, 2 weeks after Halloween?
Not even. It was like a week after.
Oh, wow.
I was like, really, dude? Come on, man.
You should have just walked by and said, Happy Thanksgiving! Happy Thanksgiving! To say it with me, not Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving!
You know, I support the Salvation Army, but come on, man. It's too early.
Stop giving them guns.
You're saying what you're having your not so your brother and you knew Santa wasn't real. Again, spoilers.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I was aware that Santa wasn't real at the time, and I was up late enough at the time where I actually helped my dad build my brother's bike, and I thought, I like this. I like having a hand in kind of the preparation of it. You know. Plus, I was like, "Ooh, I'm Santa's little helper." But it's like, to me, I liked having that kind of behind the scenes aspect of it. And it's like, I know when I become a dad, that's the kind of dad I'm going to be. I'm going to be building my kid's bike, you know, for him. Because I get the enjoyment of building a bike. Be like, yeah, I built a bike. And then it's like, and my kid's going to be able to have a bike to ride when he, you know, that sort of thing. But, you know, it's one of those things. I recall a lot of moments, memories of me and my dad building stuff together. And some of it on Christmas Day. And I think that's why it's kind of awkward for me not to get Legos on Christmas. Because if I don't have something to build, it just doesn't feel like Christmas. And it doesn't have to be Legos, but something to build. That's why that one year when I didn't get anything to build, I was like, oh, now what? I'm bored.
Speaking of Lego, which we often do.
Yes.
The one year you got me the pirate ship.
Yes.
Apparently, my mom enjoyed that almost as much as I did.
Well,
she didn't build it, but she's like, you know,
as much as I'm grateful for that, I can't afford to buy a pirate ship every year.
I know that.
I wish I could.
I'm not asking.
I really wish I could, actually.
I'm not asking you to, but it's one of those things where, like, she was. I know you've heard this, but she commented, like, because I'm putting it together. It's like, you know, it's Christmas. I'm gonna put this together, at least part of it.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, seeing you there, Dad watching TV, you on the floor building Legos. It really felt like Christmas. I knew it was already Christmas, but it really felt like it there.
And, you know, and that's one of those things is because I think for me, the reason that I feel so at home, and it really is the Christmas season building Legos, is because so many sets that I've gotten have been at Christmas. Mm-hmm. You know, I got at least 1 or 2 castles at Christmas. I got a couple pirate ships. You know, the bigger sets I've gotten for Christmas, I got the Star Destroyer. I got the airport last year. That was great. And so having that moment of, something that I wouldn't go out and buy myself, mm-hmm. you know, or something that I wouldn't normally get during the year, I get to have this moment now, and this is what I've been waiting for. And I get to experience it with my family. And it's also become its own little mini tradition of itself where it was not too long ago, a couple years ago, we were going through some old photos. And there I was on the floor in my pajamas building Legos, looking at a picture of me from years past on the floor in my pajamas building Legos. So it's one of those things like, I'm going to be a 60-year-old man sitting on the floor on Christmas Day in my pajamas building Legos. That's just how it's going to be.
It's an interesting thought right there.
Well, hopefully Lego's still in business by that point.
Hopefully.
So, but it's just one of those. It's interesting how those little, mini traditions can kind of happen on their own.
Yeah, like for every year that we've had animals, I always get at least one gift that says, from and all the names of our animals.
Yeah,
really?
That wouldn't happen at our house.
How did the cat wrap this?
Well, see, you at least have a cat that has claws. What are we gonna do? Yeah, I can really see the horse wrapping this with its hooves.
Yeah. Wouldn't the goats eat this?
Oh, interesting. That just reminded me. You know how you were talking about, having a cookie out for Santa, and cookies and milk for Santa, and a carrot for the reindeer? Mm-hmm. I caught my dad off guard one year. Because, growing up with goats and horses.
Yeah.
Well, we don't usually feed them carrots. We usually feed them hay. So I was like, well, Dad, I really think we should leave out some hay for Rudolph instead of some carrots. He's like, no, he'll like the carrots better.
Yep.
No, this was before that I knew, but still, I was like, well, so what? But the reindeer's gonna like hay better.
I was like, well, son, they get hay all the time.
Yeah.
Carrots are a treat.
I forget exactly how he worded it, but it was something to that effect, and it's like, he was probably thinking, oh, crap. It's like, why is he's using logic? Oh, no!
Down, boy, down!
This is working against me.
See, I'm happy he's getting smarter, but no!
Especially since it was always Dad who ate the cookies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a dad's job.
Yeah, it is a dad's job. But, yeah, a lot of good Christmas memories, and I hope to have many more.
Any Hanukkah memories? So drink your gin and tonica.
It's funny you mentioned that, actually, because the two teachers that I remember most in my entire life were both Jewish. In fact, I actually reconnected with one of them. She was my 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teacher.
Oh, okay.
And then the other
no wonder you had such a strong bond.
And then the other teacher I had for both my junior and senior year of math. So I knew them quite well. Actually, when I went into teaching, I actually contacted the one guy, Mr. Gerson. If you're listening, Mr. Gerson, hi.
Hello. Muzzle tov.
And Miss Shear, she was a great teacher. It was both those teachers that actually made me want to go into teaching. Completely unrelated to the holidays, but, it's a season of giving, so I'm giving them their credit. And I owe my hopeful career to them.
I just kind of know the song. So that one song. That and I remember, I don't know why, like in kindergarten.
They teach you dreidel, dreidel, dreidel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They taught dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. Which then when I saw in South Park, they had that song for it, and I thought that was kind of fun. Because it reminded me of kindergarten.
Yeah. But I at least was aware. Plus, I did know a girl from orchestra in high school who was Jewish. She was definitely not a hardcore practicing Jewish, but I at least knew that she was of Jewish faith and upbringing. So I was like, okay, and sort of was able to answer some questions about some things. But you definitely don't find too many Jews in Georgia, especially in a podunk town of Snellville. So.
When I grew up, it was kind of mixed. I mean, I think it was.
Yeah, you probably had much more diversity in.
Yeah, I mean, we had a much stronger Jewish population in our area.
Yeah, finding a Jew in Snellville was kind of like finding a white in Africa.
Well, you can do that in South Africa.
Nigeria.
Okay.
It's like you would notice.
Like the albino at the Apollo?
Yes. Exactly. That's actually what I was going for, but I couldn't remember it. You notice these things, not just obviously the physical features are definitely specific to the Jewish heritage. But at the same time, there's certain.
Yeah.
But you know what? I owe a lot of who I am to those people.
So happy Hanukkah to those of you who celebrate it.
Yes, happy Hanukkah to those of you who celebrate it.
Happy Kwanzaa to
I
all two of you.
apologize. I apologize to the Jewish listeners that Christmas has gotten out of hand.
Yeah,
I
we're
promise
sorry
it's
about
not
that.
all our fault. If it was up to me,
Although, you guys are catching on because I have seen Jewish-themed Christmas trees. So you're catching on.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have seen Christmas trees decked out in, it's usually like blue and silver.
Okay.
Is the Hanukkah colors.
yeah.
And they've got Jewish-type themed ornaments.
Well, that's kind of neat.
So you're catching
Which
on.
I guess kind of works because I've seen trees used for everything. I've seen Easter trees and Halloween trees. I'm thinking, wait a minute.
Well, I
this
think
is-
one of the things is, to get a little stay on topic but a little off topic,
Yeah.
is the fact that a lot of people these days who are not because like Christmas is based on Christianity,
Right.
at least it used to be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people who aren't celebrating it at all, who aren't Christian at all, or all these sorts of things, like we don't have to necessarily be practicing a religion to celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
Because what is Christmas if you take away the religion? It's a tree with presents underneath.
Yeah. Which kind of loses it to me for me because for me personally, it's nothing but Jesus' birthday.
Yes, that's what it's supposed to be.
And that's one thing I actually kind of missed because when I was a kid, my mom would make a cake for baby Jesus. And we'd sing happy birthday. And it's like, why don't we do that anymore? I personally think that the holiday has gotten overblown.
Well, yeah, commercialism,
But it's
has
like,
pretty much bastardized the whole meaning of the thing.
yeah. But at the same time, it's like, look, just celebrate it as Jesus' birthday. There's nothing wrong with that. We have birthday parties for other people. There's no reason we can't have a birthday party for him. But let's, that's my own personal thing. That's how I do it. What?
I'm just thinking of the comedian Stephen Wright. One of his, because he does a lot of one-liners,
Okay.
is what did Jesus ever do for Santa's birthday? And you're like, all right then, you have a point. What did he do? I don't know.
Well, Jesus wasn't alive at that point.
I guess.
He couldn't do much. But anyway,
Anyway,
before we
So-
go off
so
on too
th-
much
so
of a
our-
religious rant
yeah.
here,
So there are non-religious Christmas trees.
but
Just so you know.
that's fine.
That's fine. Whatever.
I'm okay with people celebrating Christmas, but it would be nice to see it downplayed. And unfortunately, the only way we can do that is to do it ourselves. Just downplay it in our own homes
Yeah.
and celebrate it the way we want.
Unfortunately, as we've seen, with Christmas coming earlier and earlier before Halloween these days,
It makes me want to boycott Christmas.
It's getting to that point where, unfortunately, Christmas is happening earlier every year. So, unfortunately, the commercialization of it's not going to stop anytime soon. Unless the economy truly collapses, it's not going to stop.
There's a way we can combat this.
Yeah.
Well, two ways. One, we need to write some Thanksgiving songs.
I know Adam Sandler has one.
Let's get okay.
Except it's more of love to eat turkey.
It's fine. That's all the holiday's about, anyways. Eating. So,
All right, some more Thanksgiving specials and songs.
and I say, Halloween should be celebrated year round. Wear a different costume to work every day.
Like that commercial.
There's yeah.
Because there's like the person
But there's
showing up to
also
work with a
there's
space
this
outfit.
Lewis Black was doing this bit, and he's talking about how when you're a kid, you look forward to Halloween because it's the one day you get to be whatever you want. He's like, but when you're an adult, and I love this because he's specific. It's like he's writing this for me. He's like, if you want to show up to work in a Batman costume, do it for it. I mean, who are you? I'm Batman. It's like, I want to do that. Why can't we do that in society? Just show up in a different costume every day.
Because unless you're in theater or movies, they'll think you're weird.
That's true.
And if you do it often enough, they might commit you. Or fire you. Or both.
I suppose you have a point there. Still, it would be nice to not be thought of as weird. But still
All I want for Christmas is to not be thought of as weird. Forget my two front teeth. I still want to be weird.
I still have my two front teeth. I don't need them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really, what more could a guy ask for? So,
Santa, if you're listening, help me not be weird.
oh, I'm not saying not be weird, just not be thought of as weird.
And give me a Squamster. Just a little one.
Yes, let's not forget about our Squamster contest.
Yep. We want to see them, as crazy as they are.
Or you could call it a hurl. Scrimster's a little bit funnier, I think. But
yeah, Scrimster sounds better than a hurl.
But Scrimster, hurl, but they both kind of work.
Because hurl sounds like, you're vomiting. That's not cute.
Yeah.
Scrimster's kind of cute.
I suppose that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
So that's our holiday edition. So as I was saying, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Merry whatever.
Fröhliche Weihnachten.
Feliz Navidad?
Yeah, there you go. So we got German and Spanish out of the way. Pierre Noel. Maybe.
All right,
I don't know.
And here's this. Sign language.
Were you even doing it correctly?
They don't have to know that.
I do.
I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
I did at one point.
Okay.
I remember turtle.
Is that where the awkward turtle thing comes from?
No.
Okay.
That's different.
I have no, because I remember I saw somebody do it. I'm like, why is an awkward turtle? I don't really understand the awkward turtle thing.
Because that's what it kind of looks like.
Okay.
Because I think from, if you're looking at it like kind of like this, it's when like the sea turtles are on land and they got to do one of these.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not, because they're awkward because they're on land.
Oh, okay. That kind of makes sense, actually, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Of course, now we're doing sign language on an audio program. It's theater of the mind, people. Unfortunately, you're getting strange. On Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Merry Freaksmas to all.
And to all a good freak. Freaks out.
Freaks in, freaks out.
The content of the Freakacast is copyright to Andrew Felson and Matthew Puetz. All characters belong to their respective owners. A full list of music used will be provided on the website. This podcast is for entertainment use only. Copyright 2011.
Come, they told me, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. A newborn king to see, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. Our finest gifts we bring, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. Too late before the king, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam. So, to honor him, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, let me come. Little baby, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. I am a poor boy too, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. I have no gift to bring, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. That's fit to give the king, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam. Shall I play for you, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, on my drum? Very nodded, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. The ox and lamb kept time, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. I played my drum for him, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam. I played my best for him, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam, ra-pa-pam-pam. Then he smiled at me, pa-ra-pa-pam-pam.